It tastes like raisins.
3, 2, 1.
Stuck on its
Did you-
mane, it turns into a plane.
Have you ever seen that before?
No, I haven't.
Oh, well, you're welcome.
It's happening in my head right now. I'm watching that video.
Welcome to the RetroBlasting Livestream, everyone.
Hi, everybody. This is the RetroBlasting Saturday live stream. I hope you guys are doing well.
Hi.
Hi. It's Aaron.
Yes,
Hi, Aaron.
you got it right.
Did I ever get it wrong?
Nope. I just got excited.
All right.
Yay.
Okay, so today our topic is Robocop. We were going to do this last week, but then we had the whole internet changeover, so we decided to withhold that until this week in case there were further
Withhold.
issues. So thank you for your cooperation.
Thank you.
You didn't have much choice, but, thank you anyway.
Yeah, but
And
we're talking
You've got a friend in the Robocop business.
today.
Early nerds, welcome. There were like 20 of you in the room waiting. That's pretty awesome.
Early nerds.
Let us know if there's
That's a
any
good name.
sound problems.
Or don't.
Or
Yeah.
don't. Whatever.
Just kidding.
I
We
don't
won't
even
hear
know.
you. You're not mic'd.
All right, so you did some research last week anticipating the RoboCop live stream.
I did. I showed up thinking that it was,
And
now
you
I've
forgot
put,
it all.
Yes, I put so much pressure on myself to have researched this that now I'm scared.
Well, why don't you kick us off with something that you thought
I
was
can
interesting
feel what's
about your
happening
research?
inside of Aaron's stomach right now.
One of the things about this movie, and it's one of those things I picked up as I watched more Verhoeven, was just the constant, it's interesting to me, all the dialogue he has around fascism and things like that, and the way
Right.
that plays through each thing,
Right.
each of the movies that he makes.
Now, wasn't he like
Even Showgirls.
I haven't seen Showgirls.
wasn't
Nobody's going to believe me, but I haven't seen Showgirls.
wasn't he like a kid in the war? Isn't that why?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's super Dutch. And
Yeah.
Super.
he's super Dutch.
How does a
super
comic book
Dutch.
character?
Super
Dutch.
He's got a cool
Apparently,
dog.
he made a film called Black Book in 2006 that was the Dutch people decided it was the best Dutch movie ever made.
And I picked up, that was the second most interesting thing about this movie.
Yeah, but no, he grew up thinking. Well, he says that he thought it was super fun, because it was he was around 10-ish, 8 to 10 or so when the height of the war was going on. Although I think he was born in maybe he was even younger than that. But he grew up during those formative years with the war going on all around him, and the Allies were the ones that were bombing near him. So that had to make
Right.
for an interesting.
That was my phone
Take.
reminder to turn the sound off.
Ah,
I set
excellent.
one of those
Good
so I
job.
could be professional.
Hey, I just finally got a notification that we just went live.
That's
I
what
never
that
get
beep
those
was.
notifications.
That's actually what that beep was.
Uh,
So yes,
yeah.
he lived near a German base in Holland when the war was going on, and so his youngest memories are of the neighborhood on fire and people he knew probably dead in the streets. So and it's interesting on the
Probably
Wikipedia
didn't have an
article.
effect on him in any major way.
That was what I was thinking. Is here's the so he comes to the States and he directs this movie and he's in Detroit. I have to imagine that the fact that it was the Allies that were bombing the German base, right? But it still was having an effect on his neighborhood, his life, his
Right.
friends, and his family. I can't imagine you can go from that and not have some sort of effect and some sort of message
Right.
that you're embedding, even subconsciously, into the stuff that you create.
Well, he's constantly commenting in all of his films, and RoboCop was the first time I saw it in my film watching life, where Verhoeven always satirizes.
Wait, when was the first time?
When I saw RoboCop,
Oh, okay.
so it was the first when I saw
heard
RoboCop
that
was the
too.
first. Sorry, it was the first. Meaning, it was the first time I saw Verhoeven's obsession with satirizing propaganda.
Right.
So, with
and
all
I
the
think
commercials.
that's credited as his debut, his directorial debut in the States, but there was another movie that he had made that ended up here before that. But
Right.
that's kind of widely considered to be his first
Right.
big outing, his big major film here.
So
he-
Wildstar, yeah, RoboCop may have been filmed in Dallas, but they say they're in Detroit.
Right.
So I think that's why we were saying that.
Right.
Just really quickly, Scott says, I remember seeing RoboCop as a teenager and thinking their depiction of corporations was a little ridiculous. As an adult with a job, I'm horrified on how spot on they were. I kind of miss having a soul.
Yeah, Melinda and I rewatched the original theatrical RoboCop off the new Arrow Blu-ray last night, and
I kind of want to buy that now.
It's good. It's
looks
really
good?
Yeah, and they also give you the director's cut on Blu-ray as well, but they were able to get the
unrated.
the
Because
unrated one.
it's got a storied history of just trying to get it rated R.
Yep.
Like many attempts to get through the board.
And the unrated one is the one that I've watched constantly over the years when I've watched it. So I haven't seen the theatrical since the 80s. And so I watched that last night with Melinda, and we were sitting there, and Melinda looked over at me and she goes, wow, she's like, I'm surprised this isn't your favorite movie given how they depict corporations. And I'm like, yeah, they're pretty spot on with how they depict corporate lifestyle and the corporate epidemic that we now find ourselves in. I mean, it's bad.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier about, I think last night I even said this to you. I was like, if you take this Robocop, the first Robocop movie, and smash it together with Idiocracy, you've got modern world, right? Like, it's pretty much
Yeah,
spot on.
that's where we are, like, as a society globally. And
Hi everyone, aren't we all
Yeah.
super upbeat today?
but so to bring it into RoboCop,
I think
focus,
optimism's overrated, but that might just be the 90s in me talking right now.
bringing it into the whole RoboCop focus, though, I mean, we were talking about this at lunch just a little while ago. There's a lot going on in this movie. Like, there's a lot of subtext and thought. I know that even as a kid, when I saw the RoboCop commercial on TV for the first time, I remember seeing that TV promo for this movie called RoboCop. The marketing team got this movie all wrong. Like, because 87, so or is it 88? I think it's 87. As a 9-year-old, I'm sitting there going, wow, that movie looks silly. Like,
Yeah.
RoboCop,
well, I think
you know?
a lot of people do remember it just being kind of a corny action movie.
Right, because it was mismarketed. I mean, this movie really has a lot more going on.
Well, I mean, okay. Also, I think it works on that level.
Yeah,
I think you can watch this movie and
Sure.
it just be a shoot 'em up, blow 'em up
yeah.
thing. And for those of us who like eating the extra bucket of popcorn
Right.
and getting the tummy ache, we look, it's like,
Sure.
look at the fascism. It's killing me inside.
Well, it certainly works on a level of I love the character of RoboCop and all of his catchphrases and him just dealing out justice.
Oh, the classic 80s one-liners.
Yeah, yeah.
He
Come
didn't.
quietly or there will be trouble.
Yeah.
They seemed like not as overt as like I'll be back. Like
No, but they
And
but-
like every good 80s movie, Schwarzenegger is allegedly he was considered for the role of RoboCop,
but if
amongst
he-
many others.
But the thing is that if they
I don't know how much to believe.
I'd argue he would have been a better choice for this movie than some of the other movies he was in. But
there's no way
He got
that
paid.
that Arnold, because there's this whole backstory about the suit.
Yes, and that was one of the reasons why he didn't.
Before we start there,
We're so excited,
Can
we're just
we
gonna
do
jump
these
all the
super
way.
chats?
Okay, we'll do the super chats.
Okay.
Sorry.
Wicked Person says there's a strange amount of prescient political thought in it, like with the Max Headroom TV show. Oddly heartfelt messages behind the action.
Okay. Yeah,
Which,
no.
yes.
Tim actually mentioned that. He said that we were talking while we were setting everything up, and he was like, I actually like Max Headroom better than RoboCop. And I looked over at him and I was like, how do those two relate? And then
I see it.
yeah.
I mean, there's like this weird pop culture commentary that's sort of happening around it in a weird, like, meta way. Vinkman says, Michael, is there a 4K of the theatrical cut of RoboCop? For the last decade or so, the only version that's been available has been the X-rated cut.
Vinkman, if you get the latest Arrow Blu-ray, you get a high-def remaster of the theatrical cut along with a high-def director's cut. But you can get the theatrical cut here on this Blu-ray Steelbook that just came out.
Yeah, I can understand the confusion and concern about that. Like, I hadn't really looked that hard, but I didn't know there was a 4K out of it. And when I was reading about it, there was some confusion around the release of the 4K print. So
Right.
there was a version of it ready to go a while back. And then I think the only thing that went out were review copies of it.
Right.
And then it got pulled back. So it's only been relatively recently that the 4K has...
Well,
hit the
it's
shelves
not
a bit.
even a 4K. It's a 4K master downsampled to Blu-ray. So the actual 4K disc has not yet materialized.
Okay, that was what was
Yeah.
confusing me, because I think they have got one, but for
Yes.
whatever reason,
Right.
and it's gotten into certain people's hands, but it's just not.
Yeah.
That's the one I want.
Yeah,
I
that's
want to
the one
hold
I want
out
too.
for the ultra, the UHD 4K print of this.
Yeah, that's what I would like too, because this Blu-ray of the theatrical was mastered off of a 4K restoration. So
Right. So it's going to look pretty good, but I think and I think we've talked about this before. My favorite thing about the Ultra HD discs is the new Ultra, the color, the
Right.
enhanced color space
Yes.
that they have for that.
HDR.
Yeah, the HDR color space, and that's all just from watching 2001.
Right.
Just seeing the difference it made between the the Blu-ray disc and then just putting the 4K disc in and seeing that and going, okay, yeah.
So you're saying I should make time to watch the 4K of 2001?
Yes.
Okay.
But make lots of time because
Yeah, it's a long time.
and you might
investment.
fall asleep at various
A
points.
World Made of Cardboard says, weren't the commercials added to lower the movie rating?
Well, there was a lot of tinkering going on in the background to desperately get this movie from unrated or X-rated or whatever to.
It kept coming back X-rated,
yeah.
no matter what they did.
Right.
Which I don't get.
The violence. It was just the violence was so over the top for the time. And as a matter of
Doesn't
fact,
feel like it, but I will say this too. Like
it
there's
still haunts me for being a kid, seeing the scene where he gets gets shot up. Like I still remember the first time I saw that scene. It was like, oh my gosh, that's the inside of his skull.
I think I'm warped.
Yeah. Well, also
Maybe this movie warped you though. Is all.
the unrated cut does show more and different shots of gore than the theatrical.
Well, we were watching it last night, as Michael said, and like towards the end, there's that part where he becomes the one bad guy that I like to call Ron Howard, turns into like the toxic Avenger guy. Not really, but you know what I'm saying. And he's running along, and he gets hit by the car, and he just splashes all over the screen. And I was like, yes! Michael's like, you are so twisted.
Yeah, help me.
It was great. I hated that guy. So anyway, hey, am I saying it right, Jesus? He says, Michael, I know it's unrelated to the topic, but I was curious, will you do a video about Clash of the Titans, and do you own the Kraken?
We'd love to do a video about Clash of the Titans. There are two
We
pieces.
did a podcast about it.
They did do a Dreamland podcast about Clash of the Titans. Highly recommend you check it out.
Boy, Tom Burgess did not like that movie on the rewatch.
He did not. I was so surprised.
It was so funny.
He was so excited leading
He
up
was
to
so
that.
excited to watch it, and then he went
He
back
was
and
so
rewatched it,
salty.
and he was like, "This movie sucked."
I think that was the first time where you and I were like, so are we beeping cuss words?
Yeah. I was like, "No, go ahead," and I'm just like marking every part where he's like, "What the." It's just like,
Like,
okay.
whoa.
Yeah.
There are two items from the Mattel toy line that I don't own. I still don't have Calibos, the action figure, and I don't have the Kraken. So
That statement is so true on so many levels.
Yeah,
There
until-
are two items from the Mattel toy.
yeah. So until I
In total.
Yeah.
until I get
In
those, I
toto.
won't be doing a Clash of the Titans. I am occasionally on the hunt for them, but it hasn't been. I looked up Calibos last week, but once again, nothing came up that was worth buying. So the search goes on.
Midnight's Edge says, one of my favorite films of all time.
Midnight's Edge, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, great channel, and always nice to have them here on the live stream. Thank you.
I don't remember seeing this movie, like when I saw it. I did not see it as a small child when it came out. I guess I wasn't a small child. When did this come out?
87.
Yeah, so I was like not
think
a
it was
child
87.
anymore.
I know I didn't
well,
see it in
I was, but
87.
I was like an 11-year-old, so...
Yeah, 87.
If I saw it in the theater, it didn't stick with me. I don't think I've seen it since whenever that was. Maybe I saw it back then. It just didn't. It didn't register with me as being particularly anything. I just thought it was like a dumb action movie. So when I went back and rewatched it as an adult, like I think last night was the first time I've seen two. I've seen RoboCop 2 much more recently, and it's really awesome. Somebody else said it was a mess, but I think it's really good.
Well, we'll get into RoboCop 2 as part of this live stream because I have a lot to say about that. It's the first rated R film I ever saw in a theater.
Yeah, so I mean, I had seen a lot of like horror movies by the time I saw this movie, like more hardcore horror and with gore and violence and everything. And so I guess compared to that, this is not that epic.
Just whatever.
Well, it also depends on what
No, I'm
version
just saying,
you're
like,
watching.
yeah, I guess.
The rated R film is still intense, but it's not as intense as the unrated cut. I mean, the unrated
Right.
cut has a lot going on in it.
Well, what's interesting is in the interviews after the fact, they have made comments about how they felt that the violence in the rated R cut was almost more disturbing because of the parts they had to cut out.
Right.
Yes, I know, but you're talking.
It was like the implied violence was almost worse than
Yeah.
what they actually shot in some
Right.
cases.
Because if you leave it to your imagination, your brain takes it to a further place.
Yeah, like
Hollywood
where,
still hasn't learned that.
yeah, where the conclusions you would jump to. So it is another example of how making it be rated R and how cutting out, like there was one scene where they run over this guy and they cut his head off with the car when they run over it, and they had to cut that out. They had to redo that shot so that wouldn't be in there. It's almost like forcing them to do that may have created something.
Fun
that was
fact: they
more,
just inserted that shot into Showgirls, just to punch that up a little bit.
just to punch up Showgirls.
Yeah,
It's like
it's the best part of Showgirls.
They leave the club.
If you don't
right?
believe me, go back and watch it.
You're just like on a quest to get
I'm on a
everybody
quest.
to
I
watch
want everyone to
Showgirls.
watch Showgirls. I haven't seen it.
That's a strange. Where did that come from?
I want to watch it now.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be the next Dreamland.
The Showgirls. Trish, I'm watching this because it's for the
Melinda
podcast.
said I had to. Trish is going to love me a lot after this.
It's great.
Bradshaw's Studio, thank you for the super chat. Okay, so
So we're talking about I was talking about the suit. Okay.
Yes.
the suit.
And-
Yeah, tell the story.
And so Peter Sellers was doing a lot of movement training.
Not Peter Sellers.
Yeah,
Peter Weller.
That would be
Peter Sellers.
amazing. You
Peter
totally
Weller.
threw me
I
off
was
with
like
that.
Peter
going over
Weller.
that in my head.
So
I was
Peter
like,
Weller
that's
actually
wrong,
hired
right?
somebody-
Look, it's been a long week.
It's been a
Okay.
long week.
Peter
From
Weller.
there to here.
Thank you for the catch. Peter Weller was doing a lot of movement training.
He hired somebody from Juilliard's School
Yes.
of Movement
Right.
to design the way that Robocop would move.
Would move.
And the original idea behind doing that was that he would be moving very fluidly and snake-like
Right.
around the person, but the suit ended up coming back a little more restrictive.
Yeah.
And they also felt that that would be a little too unrealistic, even though I think that would have been really cool if they had pulled that
Right.
off.
But they didn't tell him until he was on set to do like
the
his
suit
fir-
was 3 weeks late getting delivered.
Right.
So they, once he got it to see the final suit, he was like, "Yeah, it's not going to work. I can't move like a
Well,
snake."
he was
in that
pretty
thing."
upset about not being able to use all of his movement training from what he said.
Well, I mean, I think he personally hired
Yeah.
this person, which again is why I love Peter Sellers. I think he's Peter Weller.
Is he the Pink Panther?
Yeah, I think so.
Is he?
Peter Sellers is the Pink Panther.
Okay.
Yes. Peter Weller is Robocop.
It's the same thing.
Who
Yeah.
I think I saw first as Buckaroo Banzai.
Where are you, Kato?
Stiff Kitten says, when Dick Jones falls out of the window at the end, he turns into Stretch Armstrong. Oh my God. We literally paused that last night, and I took a picture of it on my phone because I was like,
you seen that
what
recently?
the
Not
heck?
recently,
Okay,
no.
let me show it to you.
Okay.
I want to see Aaron's face when he looks at it.
Wasn't there a reason for that?
I want to know the reason because it does not make any sense to me.
Yeah,
Look
they
at-
had to, like, do a
look at
really
this,
fast
Aaron.
reshoot on that or something.
How did they pull that off in
I'm taking this up to the
1987?
camera lens. I want them to see this.
He's like, I just wanted a hug.
Hug. Trish says, LOL, ha ha ha.
Oh.
That's funny.
But wasn't there a reason for that, Michael?
Yeah, he's like falling backwards, and it's like we were talking about it. And we were like, you remember in Die Hard when dude falls out of the window or
Well, they
whatever?
famously surprised him with that one.
That was like very realistic and didn't have a special like it was a stunt. It wasn't necessarily a special effect. And I just don't understand why they didn't go with something more like that, or alternately take a dummy and like turn him around so it wasn't facing camera and just like.
What, like moonlighting style?
Yeah, like Moonlighting style.
Yeah.
Like, get the guy who did the
Go-
first episode of Moonlighting.
Go
to do
back
the-
and watch the pilot of Moonlighting. You will be shocked at the
Right.
the dummies and the other, like, didn't
Yeah.
even bother to make people look like other people when they were doing doubles.
Yeah.
Travels with Jason F says only found out that RoboCop
Did a toy
did
line.
a toy line about 7 years ago. Was it a big line or small?
The RoboCop and the Ultra Police toy line was the first toy line, and it was a medium-sized toy line. It had a number of vehicles, some villains, some of the good guys. Had a mail-away figure that I think was eventually on card. It's that glow-in-the-dark looking RoboCop right there. But there was no like major play set or anything like that. And then there was a cartoon that was around the same time called RoboCop. They didn't call it and the Ultra Police. Even though they were, I believe they were related. The Ultra Police moniker was restricted to the Kenner toy line. And then in the early 90s, when they did Robocop, the TV series, which is this figure right here, they did another vehicles and figures toy line based on the TV show. And if you want to learn more about the television show, you really need to check out Oliver Harper's retrospectives here on YouTube. Go to Oliver Harper. He does a great video feature about the TV show of Robocop and its whole production and how it got made and why and all this kind of stuff. It's a really, really great video. Highly recommended. But those are the two main toy lines. This toy line was not by Kenner. The TV series toy line was by a company called Toy Island. And the funny thing about it is we've done a lot of joking about how in the movie they decided that the Ford Taurus looked like the car of the future.
Yeah.
Right?
Now
So-
you can't get it.
It
For a while, you
did,
couldn't
because
get away
they
from it.
all
Right.
literally looked like a Ford Taurus.
Yeah, they all were Ford Tauruses. But then when they did the Ultra Police toy line, they did this Robo 1 car that looks nothing like the Ford Taurus for their toy line. But then when they did the Robocop series, I can't confirm because I haven't really seen the show, but they did a cop car for the Toy Island toy line, and it's actually a 90s Ford Mustang. It's a two-door Ford Mustang from like 93 or 94. So, yeah.
Nothing can stop Robocop.
What's
Nah, I'm just mad. Okay, a
day,
world.
day job, Melinda, day job? What does that even mean?
I guess I sang.
Someone's just trying to poke at you.
Yeah. A World Made of Cardboard says, off topic, isn't the plot of Showgirls the same as Girl in the Golden Boots? Maybe. I haven't seen Showgirls, so I don't know. I've seen Girl in Gold Boots many times, so if that is the same when I make Aaron watch it, and I make myself watch it
so
too,
serious about this.
I will tell you for sure that it's the same plot as Girl in the Gold Boots. So,
Mecha Man Blade, I appreciate that question. Why is it taking so long to make a decent Robocop 2 figure? It's because these toy companies, they just license the same things over and over again. So say like NECA gets the Robocop license, they'll just make Robocop, and that's all they do. And then they lose the license, and then some other company gets the license, and the first and only thing they end up doing is Robocop, and that's it. And so nobody ever jumps out there and commits to the line and makes a bunch of different things that would really appeal to collectors who've wanted them for a long time. They all play it safe.
Is it kind of the same
Is it
problem
secret?
that we have with like Spider-Man movies where they only tell the origin story?
Yes,
So they all start here and then they never really get
right. They all
too much further down
Sorry,
the
I didn't
road.
mean to hit your hand.
That's
They,
fine.
they all play it safe. They all play it safe, and so they all end up losing because we've already had that like 6 times. We're done with that.
how does he get his powers?
Yeah.
Jason Anderson says, half major, half machine, all dad.
Major Dad.
Wicked Person says, binge Twin Peaks in the 90s first, then watch Robocop right after, and was very amused at Miguel Ferrer and Ray Wise in different / similar / different roles. Mm-hmm. That's pretty funny. Mm-hmm. That is a show that I weirdly never watched, Twin Peaks.
I keep eyeballing it. I miss that
I have tried to
too.
watch it like now,
Isn't
which
that
I
the
never.
one that has old Paul Atreides in it?
Yeah. And David Lynch doing TV, which is just
There's
weird on
people-
top of weird. Like,
I've met many people who swear that this is a cult occurrence in our history that we just apparently have missed.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's
and
a
it's
thing.
funny, people meet us and they're like, have you seen this?
Well,
It's
there are
amazing.
two types of people in the world, Aaron. People who saw Twin Peaks and people who didn't
see Twin Peaks.
at the time that it came out. So, yeah. So Eddie Coulter says 1987 was an eye-opening year for me with seeing RoboCop, Predator, The Lost Boys, Evil Dead 2, The Princess Bride, and also reading William Gibson's Neuromancer for the first time. Well, it sounds like you had a lot of really weird, conflicting things going on.
I think it jumped.
It did, but
Okay.
I wanted to just read this.
Hey,
Okay.
you
Don't
guys
micromanage me.
don't give
Sorry.
me an excuse to talk about Neuromancer. That is one of my favorite books of all time.
Sal says, contributing to the toy fund, RoboCop started my absolute love of terrible bootleg toys. When in college, someone showed me a picture of a bootleg toy called Robert Cop. I've been hunting ever since.
Robert Cobb.
Robert Cop sounds like a winner.
That sounds like it's worth searching for.
I'll buy that for $1.
Yeah. See, she's clever. So you guys.
No,
out
but
there,
I'm not going to quit my day job.
Yeah.
But anyway, Midnight's Edge says, toward a Bill and Ted toy video.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome.
That's a great idea,
I would.
actually.
Bill and Ted did have a toy line, and it's almost to me like Beetlejuice, where you almost forget it happened. You know,
Yeah.
you're kind of like, "Huh?" They did have a toy line.
Well, it's like Beetlejuice having a cartoon, which I never knew about at the time, but found out later. Mm-hmm.
I think I saw some of it. What was
So
on.
weird.
Right, because
Like-
Beetlejuice had a toy line for the movie style stuff, but then they also had the cartoon. And I'm trying to remember if the toys ever looked like the cartoon at any point, because the toys that I've seen look like Michael Keaton.
As they should.
Right.
George Aitken says probably cost $1. Exactly. Stiff Kitten says, still got my NECA 18-inch Robocop figure, and it holds up today with great sound bites. You played the James Pond Robocod computer game?
I've never played that. Have you heard of that?
No, but it sounds
What?
funny.
Is that accurate? James
I'm sure
Pond
it's-
Robocod?
It sounds like Robert Cop. It sounds like more.
well,
of the
it sounds
same
like a
kind of-
fishing game, is what it sounds like.
James Pond.
Robocod. It's a robotic fish.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Lots of body of water humor here.
Robert Cop 2, the furniture of law enforcement.
Oh my
Tim-
gosh.
Just
Tim
touch
Ward.
him.
Yeah, and it's pointing at a very special place to touch him. This is a really crazy image. I wish you guys could see, but I can't show it to you. But Tim Ward just sent me this.
It looks horrendous.
It's just the worst thing I've ever seen. It's
All
worse
the
than
more
like
reason to collect that.
I want it.
Can you imagine the gaslighting you could do to your friends? To
Oh,
say, I'm a
man.
huge toy collector. When they show up, you've got Robert Cop and James Pond.
This is my
like,
prize
You
collection.
could just watch someone like Michael have an aneurysm when he wanted to
There's
prove
nothing real here. Nothing.
Everything is almost correct, but not quite there.
My reality's broken. Oh man, yeah. So RoboCop 2, or no, actually, let's stick with RoboCop here for a minute. So cool things.
There's
cool,
more here.
Oh.
Cool things I loved about RoboCop.
Okay, Capitan.
One, I love the fact that his holster was in his leg. I thought that was so
That
cool.
is pretty cool.
They operated that off camera.
Yeah.
Like it had like a pneumatic sort of just
Yeah.
make it pop out.
I loved that. I thought that was so awesome.
There's something about Paul Verhoeven's weaponry. So go back to like that and Total Recall. Do you remember
Yes.
the weapons effects in that and how ridiculous
Yeah.
those were? I still remember being a kid and seeing some guy get shot and it's just like
Yes.
like ground beef just popping out of people. I was
Yep.
like, what is this craziness?
Yeah. I love the fact that his gun, for some crazy reason, even though it was just a pistol, it had 50 rounds. It's like, how's that possible?
I know it wasn't supposed to be integrated with his arm, but
Right.
you have to imagine the only way to do that would be to be
feed-
feeding
yeah,
the rounds
feeding
into
rounds.
the gun.
Even though we see him eject magazines. So it's like,
Yeah,
if you're
well,
wondering how he shoots his gun and other science facts, I'm singing for you.
is that from Mystery
Yeah.
Science Theater?
Just repeat to yourself,
yeah.
it's just a show. I
3000.
should really just relax.
but
Yes.
my first encounter with
But it's science
RoboCop.
fiction, so I feel okay trying to figure that stuff out. Wondering if they've
That's
puzzled
true.
through that.
Well, it's also like why you try to go ahead.
No. Hashtag Dreamland. Go ahead.
I like to hear your voice, Michael.
Please
No,
finish.
but
No,
I
no,
mean,
finish.
no.
No, finish.
Nope.
I was pretty much done, honestly.
Okay. So my first encounter with RoboCop after the commercial that I saw was the arcade game. Because the arcade game was accessible to everybody. It wasn't a rated R film that your parents prevented you from going to. It was, this awesome, side-scrolling shooter, and you started with him, punching people, and then you'd get to a certain part of the stage, and suddenly the leg would open up, and you'd have the gun, and I was like, yeah!
You're bringing back memories.
Yeah.
I think
So-
I'm thinking of the NES game more than the arcade game, though.
Well, that was where the port over disappointment continued, because I asked for the arcade game port over to Nintendo. Got it the first year we were in England as a birthday present.
Is this it?
That's it. That's the one. And it was still okay, but it did not have the refinement and panache of the arcade version.
Yeah,
It was kind of a letdown.
That was still a time when you could cram more. It felt like you could cram more stuff into an
Yeah.
arcade game. But I
Right.
never wanted to play the arcade version because I didn't want to keep having to feed it quarters.
Yep. So eventually, when I got MAME, one of the first things I did in college
I'm
was
glad
go
you
find...
didn't say maimed.
Nah, MAME. First thing I did was get the ROM of the RoboCop arcade game. And it was everything I always wanted it to be.
And you played Dabo.
Vinkman says Kenner never made cartoon accurate Beetlejuice toys, and it was frustrating because that's what I really wanted.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Please continue.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Nope.
Oh my gosh.
All I was trying to
So-
do was get a thought out. And now apparently she's not going to say anything for what, the rest of the live stream?
No, I've got plenty of things to read.
So,
Wow.
okay, you guys watching it last night, what did you think of the soundtrack for this? Good luck.
How long can we sit here in
No,
silence? on
don't
a live
sabotage.
stream?
I'm letting you go first. Go ahead.
That was cool. What do you think?
I really loved it. It really reminded me of everything I don't get in a modern soundtrack.
I noticed it more because you had already pointed it out to me, and we listened to it last week. Like,
Yeah, that's why when I
upstairs.
came over, I was so talking about that. Is because I thought we were doing this podcast, this show today.
Well, it
Yeah.
sounds a lot like Conan because it's the same composer, Basil Polidorus, and I thought it was a great soundtrack. I liked it a lot.
you don't get to hear it because there's so much action going on top of it that it kind of steps on the musical.
Yeah, I didn't remember it from when I watched it.
I can see why, because I was very aware of that as I was watching the movie and hearing all the sound effects, which are important. Like, where they decided to use some of the best parts of the music is right on top of, like, some of the biggest action scenes, which is just kind of unfortunate for the music.
It's just got a really nice sort of. It almost sounds like a Stargate, like
Yeah.
like the Stargate should be what's around it.
Right.
But you know, I didn't remember it from watching the movie, and I found out that it was on Spotify. So I was preparing last week for this, and I'll just put the soundtrack on and laugh at what must be they just did what they had to do for this thing, and I was like, this is like I said, everything I miss about a good 80s soundtrack.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily hate the soundtracks that we get today that are like, "Bwah," but those are almost more sound effects than they are soundtracks, and there's not really a hook.
Yeah.
Like, we don't really get to remember the epic. We ask ourselves as nerds this all the time of like, can you remember the soundtrack to Man of Steel or something, some modern, Justice League? Can you hum anything from the Justice League? No.
Right.
There just hasn't
From
been
the
a
cartoon, I can.
Well, yeah, that's true, but that's cheating.
I like to cheat. Chris DeLarber on games and stuff, not people. Chris DeLarber says, still remember when Robocop was in an episode of WCW, which I am told is pro wrestling. Thank you for that note, Tim, because I really actually needed it. I would have
He
been
knows
like,
us so well.
I mean, I'm assuming no one at this table really watched pro wrestling enough to know that.
Yeah,
I don't even know what you mean. Like, are you saying they stopped a show of like live like wrestling and then showed the entire movie of RoboCop and then continued with the wrestling? Like, what did they do like while the movie was playing?
That sounds like a Conway Twitty moment
It's
from
confusing.
Family Guy. Like, ladies and gentlemen, RoboCop, and then just aggressively and awardly play the whole movie on a screen in the middle of the.
Well, that's like the other
octagon.
day I was watching the Riff Tracks channel.
Riff
no,
Tracks.
Riff Tracks channel
Track
on
mix.
Pluto TV, as I talked about last week, and they had like a live Riff Tracks, and they had like this musician, like singer songwriter guitar player guy, like up on the stage, and it just like never stopped. I think he's the guy that sings their Riff Track song, but he was like introing them, and I was like, man, I would hate to be an opening act for Riff Tracks. Like, you're there to watch, and I had to shut it off because God bless him. But
You can't.
No.
You can't fast forward that.
My point is, if you're there to see wrestling, you don't want to see RoboCop. I don't
know
it's
if that's
confusing. I wouldn't. Stephen Queen says, what about the baby crying ED 209 sound effect after the ED falls down the stairs? Yeah, I noticed him tantruming when he falls down the stairs and he can't get up, but I didn't notice a baby crying sound effect.
Okay, I'm going to say something that I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with, but
Cool.
as much as Ed 209 is a cool design, I don't understand the fascination with Ed 209. Because Ed 209
Well, can
is...
you go get the other version of it that's up there on that top shelf? Because it looks exactly like the...
You're talking about the Robotech thing?
Yeah, it looks like Robotech. Pretty much just Robotech.
I don't understand the fascination with Ed 209 because Ed 209 in both movies, RoboCop 1 and 2, is just a joke obstacle. Like, the whole point is that it never works right. The whole point is that it can't navigate stairs, it malfunctions, it can't quite, in RoboCop 2, they're like, the deployment of Ed 209 in the latest municipal city has not gone well, and you see the news footage of it, like, stuck and not working, and it's like, I don't get everybody's fascination with it. I think it's a great plot device. I think I think Stan Winston and his guys did it real well as an effect, but I don't get the cult of Ed 209. I don't understand why people love it so much.
It's very cool. It's probably related to why people love R2D2 and things
yeah,
like
but
that.
R2D2 works
Yes,
in the movie.
yes.
Like,
I'm not saying
not on set. He
I'm
doesn't.
not saying it's interchangeable with R2D2,
Right.
but I think that if you could have a backyard full of robots from movies, Ed 209 would be a really cool addition to have, just sort of like even comically just around the backyard. I think people like it for the reasons you just gave, that it doesn't
Right.
quite work right.
Lots
that it's
of
kind
people-
of cute and charming.
Lots of
Okay.
people are saying that they used Robotech as a basis for Ed 209.
Well, it's reminiscent of like the MechWarrior
Right.
mechs too.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of the one with the Hellfire missiles on the side of it and
Right.
everything. So yeah, it's definitely almost like an archetype. Like they really just hit an archetype that
Right.
was, even the MechWarrior stuff was inspired by and in some case ripped directly from Robotech. And that's why it's gotten in trouble over the years, is the artists were like, nope, can't use that.
do you think that there is a underlying bit of commentary about corporate stupidity and that they would test the thing with loaded ammo magazines in a boardroom? Like, that somebody wouldn't think, hey, maybe we shouldn't put
Live
the bullets
ammo
in.
where it doesn't belong is another Paul Verhoeven
Right.
thing. I mean, go look at Starship Troopers with the training montage where
Right.
they're out there, they're jumping, and then,
Right.
I mean, that shocked me, but it must be because he uses it again
Right.
and again. It's like situations with incompetent people, and they're holding things that will explode, and they invite that into their boardroom. No, it's perfectly safe. It has a directive. It can't kill anyone. It's,
Oops.
That the other part of that I think wasn't that on purpose? Like, wasn't there a bit of espionage infighting going on there? Because they wanted one project to win over the other.
Yeah, but the guy
who did it was the guy who got dethroned, so to speak.
Kind of bit him in the face.
Yeah,
so to speak.
the dude that was trying to get the Robocop project funded was complaining on the way up to the office that his project had been buried by his boss because of the Ed 209 thing. And then they're sitting there in the boardroom and the Ed 209 thing totally fails.
Just blew up.
Yeah.
So he just jumps on the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of the movie is when... So there's the scene where that guy gets, the opportunity to put forward his RoboCop idea, and then he's in the bathroom with all these other guys talking trash about the guy that he just kind of screwed over and whose Ed 209 thing failed, and everyone else sees that he's in the stall. They see his legs, and so they're all like running out of the bathroom as he's trash talking this guy, and then he is, of course, he's standing right behind me, right? Like, and so they had this like kind of lame confrontation in the men's room, and it was kind of unfulfilling. And I was like, man, like everyone acted like they were like pissing their pants over this guy. He's so scary, and then he doesn't really do much. And then, like, spoiler alert, later in the movie, he sends like Red
Clarence.
Foreman to
Clarence
go
Boddicker.
and like murder him with this huge grenade, right? And I was like, I cheered in that moment because I know the guy is a bad guy, but at the same time I was like, well, that pays off nicely because like that's why they were all scared of him, because they knew he was like a crime lord. And I was just so pleased that the movie had continuity in that way. And that is how low my standards have gone with film. Just that any random thread that's brought up,
That they
it's like,
actually
oh,
pay
it
off
actually
at the
pays
end.
off. Like, oh, there was a reason that we had that conversation instead of it just being yet another meaningless experience.
Right.
I don't know why, but that was important to me. Okay, I just lost my place because it did that flippy thing.
Yeah, I wish there's a way to disable that.
Yep, me too. World Made of Cardboard says, agreed, Ed 209 in the cartoon was relegated to a traffic cop. It shot up a car that made an illegal U-turn.
Which makes the cartoon of this even more confusing than Rambo as to how it exists. It's like, this movie barely got rated R. It was meant to be rated X, and yet somehow someone said, kids cartoon, toy
Yeah.
line, let's do it.
That is a question that's come up over many a burger,
Yeah.
I think, is how did that become a children's toy?
Yeah. Yeah.
The 80s. That's all we got to say. Scott Knudsen says, Ed 209 makes a sort of meta sense. It's a good battlefield robot repurposed to police work, a job for which it is catastrophically ill-suited. There may be a deliberate real-world metaphor there. I
Which
do
is
think
the
that
militarization of police.
that is exactly what it is that, he's showing that, the whole time I'm watching this, I'm going, police don't just murder people. They are helpful, and they're not always just like gun guys, like they, protect and serve and all of that kind of stuff. And so it's just kind of confusing. Like, obviously a corporation would see it that way, though. Like, let's just put guns in machines, and then they can go around and keep the crime down, which is...
Yeah, because he says in his presentation, he's like, something with the firepower to get the job done, you know?
It's so funny, the disconnect between, like, why most of the time why crime happens, and it gets, like, real social causey, but the point is that, like, the reason that the crime exists in a lot of cases is because of poverty, and that does not address any of that. You're just making it worse by sending, armed forces, like robots in there to kill people, which is just going to make everything worse.
Well, that's why the Robocop thing, I think, was interesting compared to that, because Ed 209 is literally something controlled from a little kiosk stand by a bunch of scientists or whatever. Robocop is, the alternative, which is we have a project where we're creating a cyborg with a human brain who can still kind of think on his feet, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. He's still...
This is back when the concepts behind artificial intelligence were well laid out.
Right.
But the actual practical application was still just a pipe. Like, nobody had beaten anybody in chess quite yet, or it just happened. I don't remember exactly when that happened. But it was the idea that a computer could control that was still, science fiction in a lot of ways. So the best processor that we have is one of our own brains.
Right.
And so they were like, let's get one of those and put it in the machine.
Yeah.
Like in Silverhawks.
Well, it's kind of like they illustrate it pretty well in the movie. The difference between RoboCop and Ed 209 is where, RoboCop saves that woman when she's being attacked in the alley on his first patrol night out, and she runs up to him and she's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. Oh my God." And he's like, "Madam, you have suffered an emotional shock." And I know that the joke about it is that he's not emotional anymore because he's a robot, but he's giving her human advice and compassion as far as his programming has directed him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Whereas
I felt like that was a joke, and I didn't understand the joke.
But the thing is like Ed 209, I don't see them having put that into Ed 209's program.
At best it would be like a little piece of ticker tape that pops out of like, here's a phone number of a psychologist,
Yeah.
Like a,
And then it just...
Wicked Person says Ed 209 equals the USS Excelsior from Star Trek 3.
Oh, well, that's a good analogy. Yeah. The latest and greatest that just can't...
It just fizzles.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Excelsior. Bradshaw Studio says hello to all.
Hi, Bradshaw. Hello to you.
Vinkman says, I think Michael might have already answered this, but what was the first R-rated movie you saw when you were a kid?
My first R-rated experience in theaters was Robocop 2, which I can't wait to talk about. What was yours?
The first one that I saw in theaters, I honestly don't remember. It must have been terrible. It might come up. The first rated R movie I ever saw, it was on VHS, was Total Recall.
Total Recall.
So another Verhoeven.
Pretty sure mine was Cat People.
Oh.
Animal House.
I was like,
Tim, you
I was
win.
like 7 when I saw Cat People. For those 4 of you out there who have also seen that movie, that's why I'm like this. It really messed me up. I was terrified there were cat people under my bed.
I think that's still a true thing. That not that there are cat people under your bed.
There are cats, not under the bed, but there are cats everywhere. Vinkman says, when I was a kid, I was really into the Police Academy films, most of which were PG, but the original was R-rated, and that was the one we owned on VHS.
Wow. Yeah, the only time I ever saw the first Police Academy for a long time was in the TV edit. I never saw the...
Yeah, I didn't see the first one for a long time.
Yeah.
I started with the later ones.
Yep, me too.
I saw... My parents did not care if I saw R-rated movies, as long as they didn't have nudity in them. And which is why when I saw Cat People, it was my babysitter that let me watch that, because there is definitely nudity in that one. But so I watched I saw First Blood when I was a kid. I saw Poltergeist. I saw just all kinds of stuff as a very young child. So
yeah, Poltergeist scarred me for a while.
I think it's good. I think it's good for you.
TV edit over something.
It prepares you for what the real world is going to be like.
I don't know that it does that in a good way necessarily. But
Vinkman, so Vinkman says, I didn't notice the first Police Academy was R-rated until years later, and I was like, this is R-rated? How did we miss this?
Yeah, we kind of had that experience. We watched the first Police Academy a few months ago, remember? And it was surreal. It's this weird time capsule of early 80s American comedy, like body comedy. It's strange.
It was that shower scene.
Yeah, people are like remembering cat people.
So RoboCop 2, I go to the theater to see it.
What do you get as a snack? Is it just plain popcorn? You get Tim Tams, or
Maybe I got Twizzlers. I don't know.
that was a good go-to. I feel like
Yeah.
for theaters.
And I remember at the time thinking, I'd seen clips of the original RoboCop and I'd played the arcade game, but I hadn't really seen the whole film, if I recall.
If you totally recall.
Although I think maybe I did. I might have seen the whole film. But anyway, so we go to see on video cassette. So we go to see RoboCop 2, and afterwards, because my mom was like, I don't like my kids seeing rated R films, but once a rated R film had been seen, that rated R film became
Like
okay.
the high watermark.
Yeah, it was like you can have that rated R movie on video cassette since you've seen it. It was weird, and so I ended up with RoboCop 2 on video cassette. Like that, we bought it as a used Blockbuster video copy that I then had for a long time. But I've always thought RoboCop 2. I don't understand the hate for it because
I don't either.
it's got the same actors, it's got the same general soundtrack, and
Was that a Nyman written one? Did we have the same writer for that
Frank
one?
Miller.
yeah, Frank
Frank
Miller.
Frank
wrote
Miller.
it.
Okay.
And there is another version of RoboCop 2 that Frank Miller says didn't get used or something like that, that they eventually made into a comic book adaptation, I believe. But I just thought that the movie worked just fine. I thought it was equally intense. I thought it was equally disturbing. I thought it tried to change things up a little more. And honestly, once RoboCop becomes RoboCop, you have to start from there with the next story. It's not like he can go back and become human like the Thing can become Ben Grimm again or something. Like he's always going to be RoboCop after that. So you have to start that story.
Swamp Thing is always
Swamp Thing's always Swamp Thing. So
The Thing is always whatever.
So it's like, what's the challenge?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well,
Spider legs
the
and-
challenge is like they've decided that they're going to reprogram him to be more compassionate, and it's like that just messes with him. I thought it was cool. I
It
don't
had more to say. It
Yeah.
wasn't just a, soft reboot.
right.
You
Yeah.
know, speaking of soft reboot or soft C-boot,
Seaboot.
yeah, you know who else loves RoboCop 2 is Red Letter Media.
Well,
They-
when we're in good company.
They
No, they're in good company.
they have a good like audio commentary track that I can't remember if it's to RoboCop 1 or RoboCop 2, but whichever one, they talk about RoboCop 2 in the thing, and they talk about that scene. I think it's for RoboCop 1, but they talk about the scene, which is my favorite scene too, which is all of the robots coming in and then like self-destructing, and
Oh yeah, in RoboCop 2,
in RoboCop
the
2
prototypes.
the prototypes, hilarious.
Yeah, it's one of the best. I mean, I used to laugh at that constantly.
Well, but you say that, and recently they've been playing like hopscotch with who's going to direct the new RoboCop, and there's been talk about it like, oh, we're just going to skip over all the comic books and all the TV shows and cartoons, including RoboCop 2. Am I right? And make a direct sequel to RoboCop 1. So that was the original writer who was basically giving that sentiment, and they initially gave the directorship to the new movie, so not the 2000.
Right.
17 was it?
Yeah.
One, but they gave it to Blomkamp,
Uh-huh.
the director and the writer who made District 9.
Yeah.
District 9. So, and then he's since dropped out of that, and I know nothing about. I think even more recently they've announced the new replacement director, and I know little to nothing about whoever that is. I love Blomkamp's ability to create props
Right.
and worlds. They're interesting. I'm endlessly fascinated with the South African mindset and views that he brings to his movies. It's part of what made District 9 really cool to me.
Right.
But it's one of those things where I don't think other than Elysium he's successfully made it feels like he's always about to make a movie that we all want to watch and then never makes it. He got involved with Peter Jackson, and he was going to do the Halo movie, and then he
Right.
drops out of that. So there's it's weird. It's like he does special effects and short stories really, really well. And sometimes those short stories turn into long stories, but whenever he's handed like a big property,
Right.
it doesn't seem like he's goes through on that.
I just don't see any reason to skip over RoboCop 2. To me, that's like skipping over Superman 2 or Batman Returns. Like, I get that there are people out there that don't like those,
I think it's simply that he just didn't write it.
but
Like, the writer didn't write it.
thematically, though, cinematography, the cast, the direction, the score, those examples, Superman 2, Batman Returns, the other Robocop 2, they all still feel like they fit, they connect to the first one
In that world.
in that world. Whereas, like I can totally understand somebody saying skip over Superman 3, skip over Robocop
Or the
3.
classic example, what, Highlander? You know,
Highlander.
what happened to that series?
Right, yeah.
There's reason to skip over.
Yeah, but I just like Robocop 2 is one of those where you don't have to say you're going to erase it. You could effectively ignore it if you want to without erasing it. But like Robocop 3, yeah, you need to kind of erase that one. But Robocop 2, I don't see it. I liked the whole idea that an opportunistic person climbing the corporate ladder decided that she was going to get reckless with their next Robocop design, and she puts the mind of a drug dealer inside. Like, what would happen if a criminal gets the abilities of Robocop in an upgraded exosuit? You know, and I'm like, I don't know. I just thought that
Bad
was
things,
cool.
Michael.
Yeah,
Bad things.
I thought it was neat. I thought it was a cool movie. I liked it.
A World Made of Cardboard says Helmsman, God, I can't say that word. Helmsman of the Excelsior was snorting coke off a hooker in Robocop. Every time I watch Star Trek 3, I can only see that.
Well, yeah, same actor. I mean, it happens.
Well, you know, people can change.
Well, speaking of other actors that were in, there were so many of the actors that were in Robocop. You're watching, and you're like, oh my God, it's that guy. I can't remember what else he was in, but it's that guy. And there's that guy.
There's a lot of regulars from
You know, like Ron
Verhoeven, too.
Howard. I know it's not Ron Howard, but he looks just like Ron Howard. And every time he's in anything, I think that guy is Ron Howard, sort of, or his cousin or something. You know who I'm talking about?
Vaguely.
Toxic Avenger guy.
Yeah.
That guy. Emil, or whatever his name is. Mm-hmm. And then there's the guy
I can see his face in my head.
There's the really cool guy, Ray Wise is the actor. He was in a show called Reaper. Does anybody else watch that show? Maybe just me? Probably just me.
Probably not just you.
He was the devil in that show. And so every time I see that guy in anything else, which he's been in a bunch of other stuff, like he was a bit part in like Gilmore Girls and The Closer and a bunch of other stuff, I'm like, it's the guy who's the devil. And I don't even ever really remember the name of the show. I
That's
just
always
looked it
fun
up.
to do, like when you show up at church and you like
Hey,
say he
the
shows up at the
devil.
like after the service and like,
You're-
hey, it's the guy, that's the devil.
You're great as the devil.
You're amazing. Want a donut?
Scott Knudsen says 3 cheers for Nancy Allen as Lewis, equally willing to take on guys with shotguns or OCP suits. She was a real partner and not just a sidekick. Yeah, I really like her character a lot.
There was a lot of discussion back in the day, the commentary from feminists on this movie about whether, you know, how it was oriented towards feminism. And, you know, there's just as much of an argument that it's just a shoot 'em up movie, but then there's also some choices that were made, for example, to let her have short hair and to not reveal her gender early on, but have a scene where she's fighting men. So there were some things that sort of portrayed her as kind of a tough, you know, equal partner to him early on in the movie.
Yeah, I took note when we rewatched it. I took note of his introduction to Lewis because he comes back into the precinct front office or whatever, and she's the entryway.
Isn't it just the classic last name like Lewis kind of thing?
And she's beating up this guy that they just brought in and arrested who's trying to get away. And he's sitting there and he's like, "This is your new partner, Lewis. This is Murphy or whatever." And she's just done all this like martial arts to subdue this guy like flawlessly, like she's just trounced the guy. And he looks at her and he goes, "Wow, pretty neat." Like that, you know, like, and she doesn't say anything snarky back to him. She's just like, "Hi," you know, like she doesn't do any of this like I'm too cool for school type stuff. Like she's just very.
I felt like she was a believable character.
Yeah.
And like she wasn't too far in any direction. She was just like
She was
herself. Like
Right.
she,
Right.
which is nice. Like that's what you're wanting theoretically as a female viewer. You want a character who is not, you know, God forbid I use the word Mary Sue, but somebody who just is perfect at everything. Like she totally screws up where the guy's like zipping up his pants and she, you know, she's distracted. But I didn't see that as like a weakness because she's a woman. I think even a dude would have been like, what's happening right now?
Right.
Like, so I felt like
we're not cool with that either.
people
like,
are
dudes with their pants
like
unzipped.
people
like,
have
I'm more comfortable now.
like
that you
she
zip your
wasn't
pants
doing
up. Thank
everything
you.
perfectly, but she was also really good at what she did. She was tough. She was
Right.
smart. She wasn't.
But they didn't overplay it.
They didn't overplay any of the stuff. So I really liked her.
Well, every character in that movie has the chessboard strategy where for every victory they have, there's a mistake they make and then they redeem themselves.
Yeah.
The good guys, I mean.
Yeah.
So like She gets OCP suspicious of him because she walks up to him because she recognizes that he's Murphy, and then that brings Jones and all those people down on the project. But then she saves him from getting destroyed by the cops, and she takes him to the steel mill.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, she accidentally gets out of her car too early, and Clarence Boddicker shoots her. But then she gets the rifle and blows up the thing.
Epic shot.
Yeah,
so great.
And same thing with Murphy. Like, he screws up and gets turned into RoboCop, but then he, saves the day here, but then he gets blown up here, but then he comes back. I mean, it's all this, reversal going on. I think it's well done.
Yeah.
I do too. A World Made of Cardboard says, any thoughts on RoboCop 3?
I think RoboCop 3... okay, there was this carrot on a stick in gaming magazines back in the early 90s because we kept seeing the RoboCop 3 video game being previewed, and it was all polygons in 3D. It looked like it was going to be...
Oh, that generation?
Yeah, it was
That's
very...
the lost generation of computer games.
Yeah, and it was him on a jetpack, like flying. And we were sitting there going, what is this? And then the game never came out, and the movie never came out. And it was just like, what's going on with this? And then finally we hear the movie did come out, and it was a huge stinker. Like, Peter Weller didn't want to be in it, thank goodness. They had to coax Nancy Allen to come back and play Lewis for one more round, and she said, please kill me in this one or something. I think that's why she dies. I could be wrong about that.
Wanted out.
It did spoiler alert.
It didn't have a good curve.
No.
The track record of all of that.
Yeah.
I really thought Peter Weller was a bigger actor than he turns out to be when I look up his filmography. Like,
well,
he's somebody that I put in a different class. Like, literally, when I found out that he hired somebody from Juilliard just to learn how to move. When's the last time you've heard of a major actor do something like that? Like, put that much.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yes, that's one.
Gary Oldman.
He just has it. Like, Gary Oldman's just intrinsically
Well, it was
good.
so random. Like, he was in Buckaroo Banzai.
But fair point, actually. But
No,
that's what
you're
I'm
right.
saying. I feel like Peter Weller does get to be, or should be, in that club.
Yeah.
But just didn't seem to work a lot after Buckaroo Banzai and this.
Which
he's
is a
been
shame,
That's not
for sure.
technically true. He's been in a lot of television shows. And I
Well,
think he's currently working in a TV show.
He did
but
Cronenberg's Naked Lunch a few years after RoboCop or RoboCop 2, I think. And that was, anything Cronenberg does, it's just like, it's critical acclaim, but it's not necessarily wide exposure.
But maybe it's a little bit hard on the career.
Yeah, and then of course he ends up showing up of all places in Star Trek Into Darkness, which I was like, whoa.
I was excited in that moment to
Yeah.
see him back, to play that role. But, you look at Buckaroo Banzai and you look at the very least at RoboCop 1. This guy's got chops.
Oh, yeah.
And he is very kinetic.
Yes.
So when I found out that he really put some thought into how he moved, it takes me right back to one of my favorite moments in Buckaroo Banzai when him and his crew of crazy scientists, they're a rock band in this particular scene. They walk in and he does this twist where he's walking, into the room, and then he does a twist and then he keeps walking up to the stage. I remember as a kid just being like, that guy's cool. That's what cool looks like.
What was the
right
one?
there.
What's the 90s sci-fi movie where they're on the planet full of like alien eel snakes or whatever? They're screamers.
Sounds familiar, but I couldn't verify that one for you.
He's in that movie too, because I remember
How
seeing.
do you know so many things?
Because I remember this like cable TV interview. Screamers. This interview segment where he's like, they're like, so what's it like? How'd you come at this role or whatever? And he says to camera, he's like, as an actor, I'm just there to say the words. And I was like, I can't tell if this guy's deep or if he's...
Was this Weller?
Or if he's trolling. Like, that wasn't a term back then, but,
Right.
Yeah.
So I got some super chats.
Oh, sorry, okay.
You do?
Wicked Person says, RoboCop Twin Peaks era Ray Wise sobbed theatrically in every role. I can see that. Apparently he's Leland, what's his name, on Twin Peaks. He's like a huge character on Twin Peaks, and people keep saying we don't know what we're missing. And it's like...
I believe them.
I've watched 2 episodes of it, but I watched them like within the last 5 years, and it just... I don't know. It just didn't capture me. I can try to force myself to keep watching it, but it just didn't grab me. But I also already know who killed Laura. Because somebody actually
Laura
just...
dies?
Yeah, the whole thing is a mystery of, like, she starts off dead, like, early.
That's how
she
little
dies
of it I've
early.
watched. I didn't know Laura died, and it's like the first
Well,
thing
because,
that
like,
happens.
everyone in the thing is like, who killed Laura, whatever her name, Palmer. Laura
Yeah.
Palmer. Who killed Laura Palmer? It's on the cover of TV Guide all the time. I already know the answer.
It was JR.
It's Ray Wise, right? Like, isn't he the guy that kills her?
That was a Who Shot JR joke.
I know. Vinkman says, the only part of Robocop 2 I never cared for was the part where he was reprogrammed to be super PC. I thought it was too syrupy and cringy.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I don't think we were supposed to really like that, though.
But see, I thought that was an interesting problem to introduce into the story. I think it's supposed to be cringy.
And
like
like
Yeah.
90s, around 90 when
it
that came
was
out.
90, 91, something
Right.
like that.
Was kind of like when PC was really getting its legs.
Yeah.
Everybody was
I
reacting
feel like
weirdly to
yeah,
that.
I think it's great commentary on that. I felt like it's supposed to be cringy. I don't think that was unintentional.
yeah. Stiff Kitten says, watch Eraserhead. I've already seen Eraserhead, so... But yeah, if you haven't seen Eraserhead, go watch it. It'll blow your mind. Vinkman says, FYI, the Shout Factory Blu-ray of Buckaroo Banzai is about to go out of print, so pick it up before it becomes crazy, stupid, expensive. That's a great tip.
Thank you.
Save one for me.
My favorite, David Lynch. So people keep talking about David Lynch since I'm talking about Twin Peaks.
You're the bigger David Lynch fan. Like
I
you,
do
you
like a
send
lot
me
of-
weird David Lynch YouTube videos that are just like unsettling.
Well,
beyond
he did the
unsettling.
Dune movie, so I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I think
know.
of you with David Lynch too.
Yes, and I loved the Dune movie.
I
but
feel like
that
you're-
didn't go on to just like constant David. It's not like Coen Brothers where I just watch everything that they make. So
I really liked Lost Highway, but my favorite is...
sounds like I should be that way. Is what I'm saying.
There's a great scene in Lost Highway that like blew my mind. It's very scary. But then there was Wild at Heart is my favorite David Lynch.
Okay, sounds
So-
like another Dreamlandy kind of thing.
Did I have that wrong? Was Naked Lunch David Lynch? Or that's because they're talking about Twin Peaks? I thought Naked Lunch was Cronenberg.
I would lean on you for Cronenberg
I
advice.
Okay.
You're my
don't know.
Cronenberg expert.
Okay.
People are, super...
Hey, get the Cronenberg expert
Jason
on
Anderson
the phone.
says, my favorite Lynch is Wild at Heart. I wonder if he said that before I said it.
There's no way to know.
We're simpatico, Jason. Just like that. I see you. Blue Velvet is also very, very good, and I mentioned it in our herbs
You did
thing.
with the zoom in and the insects.
Yeah, with the insects, like what's underneath, because he talks a lot about the grossness of society. He has a lot of social commentary.
It's
in
one of
his
those things
films
where
as
the
well.
suits are always pressed and everything's nice, but if you pull the lapel back, there's something dark going on there.
What's he building?
One of the biggest disappointments that I recall from the RoboCop 2 thing wasn't the movie. I liked the movie just fine.
But you mean like the overall, like the whole event?
The whole event was the Nintendo game, because the Nintendo game of RoboCop 2, if you've ever played it, is a real letdown, because it's like he's walking on ice all the time. Like he walks too fast and slides to stops, and you can't get the controls right.
It's why I can't play Mega Man anymore. I keep going
Oh, it's
back.
worse than Mega Man. It's far
Well, with
worse.
Mega Man, he's not sliding as much as he just keeps jogging when he's. It's like.
Yep.
Is it as annoying as this thing flipping down every time I try to scroll down? Is it like that?
It's
Probably.
throw a
Okay.
controller annoying if you go back and try it.
Ugh. I have a spot like that in a video game that I like literally can't get past this game and it won't let me move to the next level. Like I would pay somebody to come into my house and play through that dumb game just so that I could move on with the rest of the real game.
Isn't that the profession we all wanted growing up? Like the professional game player?
There are people who do that, right?
Like just you
I
call
need to
them and
find
they
one,
show
and I
up
want
and
them
they,
to come to my house and just like
And
I
they-
don't want to do it anymore.
they
I've done
play
it
it on your
40
controller
times. I
on your
can't-
TV.
Yeah,
and
that's
just
right.
get
I
right through
hate
that
it.
spot you can't
It
get
makes
through.
me so mad. Michael has seen me having a fit about it.
No, you've,
Yep.
you've,
Okami.
you've tried to get everyone you know to complete that portion of the
Will
game.
you do it?
No, I do not like timed event in games.
Okay.
That takes me right. I'm done playing the game when
was-
there's a timed event.
Okay.
It killed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for me.
Jeff David Lowe says, no real comments on Robocop, but here's $5 to keep being awesome. It's Dr. Weller, PhD in Italian history, hosted a program on Italian history.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he was a college professor at Syracuse University, where I went and graduated just like a year or two before he started his
Yeah, that's a
professorship at Syracuse. I was ticked. I was like, if my brother and I had been switched at birth, and I had just been 2 years younger, I could have had Peter Weller as a professor.
You would have taken whatever class he was
Yes,
teaching,
I would
have taken
even if
whatever
it was
class.
like a math class.
I'm with
you
you.
would have
I am
taken-
fascinated by this guy, and I really wished to have seen him in more kind of major films. In researching this, I found out he's been doing television for a while, so
Yeah.
I need to do myself a favor and go check out some of the shows he's in.
The Maypole says, any interest in Mass Effect at RetroBlasting?
Yes, both Tim Witten and myself have played a lot of Mass Effect. My personal favorite is actually 1. I just, even though it sort of feels a little unfinished in comparison, I kind of like that about it. A little odd. And then 2 was also very fun, but 2 is kind of where I moved away from the franchise. I know that 3 and 4 are kind of problematic for some people, but that game series is neat. It feels like good hard sci-fi as a video game. And it's one of those games that I do go back, and every time I get a new computer, that's one of the things I install and
Mass
see how
Effect.
it looks on
Yeah.
the new graphics card with the new CPU and see how it ages.
There is a sadness that comes though with you keep a game as a legacy thing, like a PC game. Like I've kept X-Wing on CD-ROM the whole time.
Well, thankfully, I experienced this through Steam, so it's sort of like it grows with
okay.
me. Like Steam figures out how to
'Cause
make it work. And
I
then
will never forget when I finally upgraded to a PC generation where I couldn't get X-Wing to work, and it was just like,
I know, and we need to spend a good weekend actually
Right.
getting the emulators and everything.
well, they say it's on Steam now, but I'm like, the last time.
the Steam one should include the emulator required to make it.
The
play.
reason I didn't try it or buy it is because when I bought the Tomb Raider package on Steam with all the old games, they didn't work like that, like right off the Steam thing into the computer. It was like,
I'm sure mileage varies, but I feel like I don't know if I bought X-Wing, but I did buy all the first person shooter Star Wars games in
Right.
like a bundle, and
Yeah.
it went all the way back to Polygon Triangle
Yeah,
Face. So and
But they all
they
worked?
worked. Yeah, I was able to play them and then realize why the.
did they play in Windows like this big, or was it full screen?
I
or-
think this is the part of this about me. Like I use computers a lot. I don't
Right.
really remember if it opened in a window and then I just quickly maximized it
Right.
and moved past it.
Yeah.
It may be one of those things that you have to manually click the thing to make it bigger or go into the settings and choose to make it full screen,
Right.
or something like that. You got a super chat.
No, I've got a question that's been repeated about
Okay.
400 times, so I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
Knights of Old wants to know if you went to arcades in the UK. Please talk about playing Robocop arcade at the arcade game.
Well, you brought up playing the arcade, but
yeah,
not necessarily in the UK.
I brought up playing the arcade game earlier. I did go to arcades in the UK. My experience with the Robocop arcade game was in the late 80s in the States. I really enjoyed that arcade game a lot. It was different in that it wasn't a beat 'em up. It was a single player shooter side scroller. It was not a game where you needed to do a lot of jumping or platforming because you're RoboCop, obviously. But I
Can you imagine if he had actually done the fluid movement thing?
Oh, I know,
What the game would
right?
have been like?
But I loved its play control. I loved its authenticity to the source material. You felt like you were RoboCop. Like it kept you grounded in the character. And then when that gun, came out, I was like,
exciting.
so cool. I just really loved that game. I thought it was one of my favorite
Takes his
arcade
arm
games. Yeah.
T29 says, Melinda, what game are you stuck in? The game is Okami. It's an older game, but I discovered it on my Switch, and it's this dumb digging game, and it's a maze, which I already know the path of the maze, but it's a timed maze, and I cannot get the stupid thing
It's
to
like
go
you got to
through.
get to a place and then get back to a thing and then
Yeah,
get
you
back
have to, and then hit
another
a thing that gives you extra time, and you have to do it, anyway.
So MMA Panda says, if a game doesn't work on your PC, you probably need to upgrade. Panda, we're talking about games that are already 25 years old.
Well, maybe it's like tilt, or not tilt, but you ever go so far on points in a game that it goes back to zero. I think that's what we're experiencing. Like we have gotten so many points in computer skill and power that to the game it's like I don't know how to compete.
But that's the thing. We're talking about old games on new PCs, not new games on old PCs. It's a different problem.
Yeah, it's
Mass
almost,
Effect doesn't really suffer from that yet. Like it still is. The
I
thing
think
that
an
really
old PC would work better.
well, not for Mass Effect.
No,
but for his stuff, yeah.
You almost need, we have the old TV for the Atari.
The Mass Effect thing that kind of bummed me, the most recent I've tried to play Mass Effect 2 was probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Trish says I need to downgrade. LOL.
Poor thing.
Oh.
We all feel for you.
What would be? What
But
would,
the internet connected parts of games are the things that break your heart now, like
That's-
in
yeah.
post 90s.
Yeah.
So there will be an integration in the game to some web community, and then you'll revisit it in like 2020, 2021, and that server's been turned off, and that part of your game is just dark and broken. And in some cases, it actually breaks parts of the game. You can't do certain things that because you download a DLC or something that you're used to
Right.
getting.
I think this is Box Knight says, "What are your PC specs, Aaron?" That's a lot of information.
That is a lot of information. Well, my MAC address is.
I like that one.
No, I just got one of them. I think within the last year or two, instead of building a desktop machine, which I know many of you are going to poo-poo at, because I've been a desktop, and so has, Camera Tim over there. We've both been build your own desktops for a long time. But this recently, I got a laptop because we were doing Dreamland, and I wanted something that was a little more portable. So I got the Republic of Gamers, one of the Republic of Gamers Asus ones and it was still kind of new, the RTX card on it. And so you sort of have the next generation of that there.
Yeah, that's thanks to you because you told me what to get.
I
like,
was
"My-
just so happy with how everything worked together. It was
my
just
Dell
a nice...
died, so that's why."
Eric asks, does RoboCop 2 have an action figure line for the failed concept RoboCop 2? No, there was never a RoboCop 2 toy line to my knowledge, and I don't think anybody's made anything from RoboCop 2 specifically, even in the post years of retro licensing. And then Zigma Experiment says, best RoboCop spinoff, and are we closer to the socio-political world of RoboCop than ever? I think as far as the corporate stuff is, we are.
God, I hope not.
Because corporations...
I'd say 100% yes.
Corporations act like they own humans at this point. I mean, it's crazy. If you're an employee of a corporation, God help you.
Well, I mean, any concept that you think of while you work there is automatically theirs, which I don't know how they can possibly do that.
That's
but
been the case since the 80s.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying.
You signed,
I
like,
feel like
engineers
back in the
signed
80s,
something.
that world was like we had this whole argument / discussion earlier where I was like,
Yeah, but you were yelling.
I was, not really.
You're a yeller.
They were. You guys said that it was set in the future, RoboCop.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I don't remember it saying that in the movie, like in any in the near future.
Again, I
or
think that
anything.
was like sort of screen direction or part of just the notes
It doesn't
for
look
it.
like it's in the future. It looks like it's the 80s because I mean it's filmed in the 80s in whatever
That could have been
city it's
because
in.
it was filmed in the 80s.
Well, right, but I'm just saying it just looks like a slightly alternate universe of the world we live in. Because aside from RoboCop,
I
which
believe
is
they
this
wanted
is a
it to
smart,
look close.
this smart thing that they did. Because the only weird thing that's out of place is RoboCop himself.
Well, but they have the virtual real estate agent. Like, he goes into the house and it's just these monitors that, like, tell him. Like, so there's things about...
Yeah,
The-
I guess
And
that
they-
doesn't jump out at me because that seems like something that would happen now.
In the matte
Now,
painting,
but
Now,
not-
I know, I get
which
it.
is
but-
what? The future. From when the 80s when they made this. It was the future.
Wow.
Why'd you pick that finger? That was weird.
The best RoboCop spinoff for me is RoboCop 2.
It's not a spin-off, though. It's a sequel.
It's a sequel. When he says spinoff, I mean, I know maybe he's talking about RoboCop versus Terminator or something like that,
But Terminator came first.
or RoboCop the cartoon, or RoboCop the comic book.
That would be closer. And I haven't read any of the comic books.
I haven't either.
And RoboCop was inspired by several comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Was it ROM? I think there's a Marvel comic, there's Judge Dredd, and then there's a Japanese comic that I can't remember the name of, and all three of them are cited as sources, source material for this. And then in that discussion, when we were talking earlier about whether it was set in the future or not, one of the interesting things that I noted from reading up on it was that the writer says that he got his idea to start writing RoboCop when he looked at a Blade Runner poster. Almost to the point where in his mind when he was writing it, the two things could have happened in the same universe.
Right.
So it's like his plot idea, his pitch was kind of like, here's a police officer who's a robot and he hunts other robots.
Which that would actually be a really interesting, like if they were to remake RoboCop, which I know they did and people want us to talk about that remake.
And they're supposed to be doing it again.
I think it would be interesting for it to actually be set in the Blade Runner universe. Like in that time
it would be
period.
weird
where-
to be like a clunky, externally visible robo part kind of creature in a world where they've gotten it so good that you can't see.
Yeah, but I almost feel like they would be doing it because remember they hate the synths.
So it's almost like
So
wear
it's
it on your
going the
sleeve.
other direction. So it's like, yeah, this is a robot, so therefore you don't have to
And see, the writer wouldn't have known that nuance of Blade Runner,
Right.
just from the poster.
But you could definitely make it work, I think. It's interesting.
But he clearly fell in love with the cyberpunk world, which, someone brought up Neuromancer earlier. I'm very happy about that. That was one of the things in the early 80s that kicked off the cyberpunk movement in science fiction. And things like The Matrix, they cite things like Neuromancer and other cyberpunk books as kind of their biblical source material.
So it's their muse.
Well, yes, I mean, Neuromancer itself actually
Has
coined
a little
the
glow,
phrase.
just runs by real fast.
It coined the phrase cyberspace. Like, that phrase came from Neuromancer.
Ah.
Raymond says, "Hi all, I would recommend Frank Miller's Robocop comic based on his original vision for the R2 script. In my opinion, it is more nuanced and has more ideas that were watered down or gone from the final film."
I'll definitely check that out then.
Anytime you can sort of like expand the material out a little longer, it's helpful.
Vinkman asks Michael if you could say, I'd buy that for $1 as Skeletor. Although other people were asking that you do your Wahlberg impression about this time. So
Okay. I'd buy that for $1.
I feel like that would be another Orange Chairs line. Somewhere.
Yeah. Why Mark Wahlberg? What?
people are just saying it's time for a Wahlberg.
It's time for a
impression.
Wahlberg. Time for a Wahlburger.
Have you seen that dude? He's the new cop. He's like a robot. Sick, bro.
Yeah, he was a cop, and we took his face off
What?
and put it on a robot.
No way.
Yeah, he's still got a brain too, but
Does he
it's-
lift?
don't tell anybody.
Does he
It's a secret.
lift?
He doesn't have to. That's the magic of it. But if he needs to pick up more weight, we just upgrade his arms.
I mean, I never thought about going to Detroit, but I got to see the Robocop.
Well, I'm going to have to say that if you see RoboCop, you've done something wrong. I would say trying to see RoboCop is the wrong choice.
So you're saying I can't beat up anybody in the street?
I've heard that's something you like to do, Mark.
my favorite
I've heard that. I would recommend not doing that in Detroit.
Feel it, feel it.
Oh.
Feel the vibration. Wicked Person says, in the not too distant future, way off in 87, there was a cop named Murphy, not too different from you or me. Yeah.
Wow, that's an alternate universe, Misty. That would just be amazing.
I'd
Well,
like to
it does
see.
fit, like,
What if the robots were human, and then they constructed the host?
What if they, like, made one being out of Joel and the bots? It's just
I'd like to
It
see
was just
Crow as Robocop.
Yeah.
RoboCrow?
Robocop.
Oh!
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Maki says Inspector Gadget Gizmoduck.
Gizmo
The only
Duck.
reason I said that is because you guys were just talking about Inspector Gadget earlier. And I just thought
We
that was
were
funny.
having a big conversation about Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
It's a shame about those cartoons not being remastered.
But are they even available on a
I
negative?
Um, Peter Vinkman says, I doubt the Robocop nightmare of corporations having a monopoly over everything will happen. I assume that's sarcasm.
Well, it's funny that you say that. It's one of the things about that genre of cyberpunk that corporations sort of, like in all the cyberpunk novels I've ever read, governments are over, and it's actually corporations who own everything and control everything. So there can be like a loose conglomeration of world government,
Right.
but it's actually the corporations that have all the power. So you look at Neil Stephenson's cyberpunk stuff, and he's got corporations running everything.
I have a wild theory that I just thought of just now. I'm not going to pretend like I've had it, before now. Is it possible
Don't write a manifest.
Is it possible
And don't
that
quit your day
that
job.
RoboCop and Demolition Man are in the same universe, just different states of the country?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Because Demolition Man is Los Angeles.
Well, they
in the
say
future.
that RoboCop was inspired by Judge Dredd, who was played by Sylvester Stallone, who was in Demolition Man.
I would like to take this moment to talk about how...
Taco Bell.
Thank you, Taco Bell. You've only given me food poisoning twice in my life, and I think that's a real escape for me.
It's not true.
Verhoeven, that's how you say his name, right?
I don't know. I always
Verhoeven?
say Verhoeven, but I don't have a Dutch accent, and I
That
don't.
guy,
I
the
do not
director of
attempt
this
one.
movie, I know we talked about this earlier, but I feel like it has to be said, and I'm sure all of you know this, but he's the first person to accept his golden raspberry in person, which I think, and I watched him accept it. It's a cool YouTube clip. You
It's
should-
on YouTube. He's
it's-
actually in that weird conference room in a hotel somewhere.
Yeah,
where
it's very
seedy
weird and seedy
California.
looking, and like he goes up on stage and he talks about how he won 7 of the Razzies that evening
The
for
worst
Showgirls.
awards of all time.
Uh-huh. And he said, but it was actually really nice because it was easier than reading the reviews last September. So, I mean,
And he
you
kept it
kind of have to love
legitimately-
him for that. Like, even if you hate the movie Showgirls or even whatever, like, the fact that he had the balls to, like, show up there and do that and be able to laugh at himself is so impressive to me that I just kind of got to give him the kudos. So
Didn't Halle Berry accept hers for Catwoman?
Yeah.
she
Yes,
did,
in
and
person.
Sandra Bullock accepted hers, and then, like, the next night went to the Academy Awards and won.
For the
Probably
same
for a
thing?
probably
Oh,
for a different movie.
That would have
but
been amazing.
That's
if it was
funny.
For the
That
same
would be
thing.
amazing, actually.
Yeah, she won it for that bad romantic comedy she was in. Right?
Well, that's not
I think
narrowed down
arguably
enough.
it's
it's
not bad if she won an
It wasn't
award
failure
for
to
it.
launch. It was.
Monkey Boy gave us some super chat money for the Wahlberg
Oh,
impression.
thank you, Monkey Boy.
A World Made of Cardboard says, off topic, my wife wants to know if you have seen the He-Man Skeletor Money supermarket ad.
I feel like I have, but it's not coming to mind immediately. But that sounds familiar. Maybe I've heard about it from someone else, but I haven't seen it yet.
Zigma Experiment says one of the weird things is that they intended that RoboCop's human face is artificial. Did they?
They say in the second movie that he implies that it's a construct to honor Murphy.
Oh.
But
But
again,
earlier
But he
notes
says it
indicate
doesn't-
that they actually took his actual face and just cut it off and stuck
Well,
it
that's
on.
what,
Right.
because he says it doesn't explain the bullet lodged in his skull. So that's what I was going to say. It's like, I remember looking at that thinking, well, that doesn't make any sense because it's so surface. You could just like,
right.
it's not like it's deep in his brain and they couldn't remove it. Like, it's just right here.
Well, they never really are clear on how much of him is still organic. Because at one point they say we were able to save the arm, and he's like lose the arm when he's being made. You know, and it's like, well,
They're maybe a little fast and loose with that.
yeah, because in
I
the-
have to imagine he's through the course of duty, that a flesh face would just sort of ablate.
Well, yeah, because in the remake they imply that his entire lungs and everything is real.
Well, it has to be. Remember, he has to eat the baby food.
Right.
Which,
right.
if he's taking in food, that means he
Then
would
that's
have to
digested
use.
in your face.
He would have to
so
use the
that makes
seashells.
sense. Yes.
And that would be very difficult in that robot.
I can't tell you guys how much it's helped me once I figured out how to use the seashells. It's completely changed
It's really
my
changed
bathroom
my,
experience.
and it's been really useful during COVID times.
It really has. If you
With
guys,
the toilet paper shortages and whatnot, it's really nice to be
yeah,
able
the
to.
seashells are
Yeah,
definitely
the way to go. It's that or a bidet, and I mean,
don't become one of those bidet
you don't want to
people.
splatter.
Don't be a bidet
mean-
person.
Oh,
Michael Hinkson says, hello all. It's a very smoky day in usually beautiful northern Nevada. I'd love for Michael to say, dead or alive, you're coming with me as Stuart.
dead or alive, you're coming with me.
No, you can't make me.
Come quietly, or there'll be trouble.
I'm just not afraid of you, Mr. Stewart. You're too lovable, like a grandfather I always wished.
Your move, your move, creep.
Hey, look, I'm just taking care of you here at the old folks' home. If you could, please just get back to your room.
Lots of people are saying Carl Urban did an excellent Dredd. I agree. I really liked the Dredd remake with Carl Urban.
So
and
that
Carl
kind of
Urban
brings
is
us-
very handsome when you see him in person.
We did again. It's so funny because the room where we were always in at Dragon Con was right across from the green room, so I would see all these people. And Carl Urban did show up, and
He did, and
he couldn't get the door open, and I was so pleased because he was like, "Oh, I gotta get through this door," and I'm like, "I know who you are. You're Carl Urban." I didn't say that. I was
No,
thinking it.
it's like you try so hard to be like super cool with the fact that there's like a celebrity standing there. You're like, hey man, what's up?
Yeah, you want them to remember that. Like,
And I was
remember
like,
that cool
Squee
guy?
was in the Lord of the Rings.
But
Does Carl Urban have nice teeth? He
didn't open his mouth.
He smiled at me.
Oh well, I don't think he smiled at me.
Maybe you're not his type.
Possibly.
Vinkman says, Aaron the Aaronist Aaron, whoever Aaron, had a
Hey.
double wall burger with everything on it. He thought it was meh.
Which is funny. I've never had a Wahlburger to make a comment on that, but I'm always giving people, and especially Tim, a hard time over like all these specialty boutique. Like, we make the best hamburger ever, and I'm like, can it just not be a hamburger, like round meat on a round bun with a tomato and some lettuce?
Tomato?
Tomato. I want him with a tomato.
Fat Rob says, Melinda, have you mastered any impressions? No. I am not good at impressions.
Unimpressed.
Yeah,
Put
I mean,
that way.
I can do a sort of Fargo impression,
The
and I can do a Valley Girl pretty well, but that's about it. Not particularly challenging.
Michael, I know you're a
impressions.
go-getter, but
And
what'd
Michael
you
really
go get?
hates the Fargo impression that I do.
I love that character from Fargo. She's really charming.
Fat Rob says you're good at singing, though, Melinda. Well, I rarely am trying when I'm singing on here. I'm just sort of messing around, but thank you. I appreciate that. I think what makes me mad is just not so much that, you know, people wouldn't think I'm a good singer. It's just the fact that they have to call it out when
Like,
I'm
why
not
even-
I'm not
yeah.
even really trying to
Why
sing.
poke
I'm just
at her?
kind of like, have you listened to the MST3K theme song? Like, they're not really singing either. They're just kind of
Well, it's sort of a caricature of singing in what they're doing. So I think you kind of nailed the tone that they had that
that's
in.
what I was trying to do, was go with the tone.
Yeah.
The not caring.
And the frequency is a good thing to
What is
match
the
as well.
frequency, Kenneth?
Kenneth.
Michael Hinkson says Robocop is the greatest franchise ever with only one good movie in the franchise.
I like that you added that bit at the end. It's like, suddenly this is true again.
I feel like we had this fun conversation going the other day, or
Yeah.
I say we, I guess I was involved too.
Yeah.
It was the day you weren't here though.
Oh,
Because
so for the day of the Bond?
I don't remember.
The day of the Bond.
But we were talking about like the best was it just trilogies? Or
No, it was
series,
it was just
movie
series.
that had like only two of, like, they should have stopped after two, and then ones that should have stopped after three, but then they just kept going.
Right. And
So
then there
we
were
were
ones
having-
that should have stopped after one.
Yeah, and then there were some that should have stopped after one. So those are three sort of discrete categories, which was a fun conversation to kind of think of, like, all the ones like, oh yeah, like that was, they should have stopped here. Like Terminator is a great example of like should have stopped after the second one, and you know, things like that. Of
They're
course,
gonna-
it's all
they keep trying with Terminator.
There's,
They
there's a
just
little
keep-
bit of subjectivity there because,
Of
like,
course.
like Michael Hinkson obviously believes that RoboCop should have stopped after one. I believe that it had enough potential with what we got in the second one that it was two
Could
and
have
done.
been it could have been a 3 if they kept their stuff together.
or just a two and done, given how bad 3 was. But I don't see 2 as a blight on the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Highlander 2 is a blight on the franchise. Highlander should have been one and done just by the tagline on the poster.
There can be
The only one. You know, Terminator 2
Let's just
films.
get actors from totally different regions of the Earth
Yeah.
and then give them credit for being from another region
Yeah.
of the Earth.
You said you were
Confusingly.
from Spain. You're a liar.
You know,
That's what it sounds like.
someone asked the question earlier about Carl Urban as Judge Dredd, which I think was a very good Judge Dredd. But that brings us to remakes. There was some interest earlier in talking about the remake or the more recent production of RoboCop.
Oh yeah, I saw it. I felt it was forgettable. Not a bad film. Like, I don't sit around at night, you know, punching the ceiling about it.
Forgettable.
But I don't think about it. The movie just doesn't really factor into my life. It's like RoboCop should never have been just like, they tried to make him like, what if RoboCop had the cool factor of the Matrix? And it's like, I
You
don't
just mean from like the all
all
matte
black with the red, and it's like he looks like a Cylon now.
They
like,
probably tried to make him more tactical,
it just
which I prefer this suit, honestly.
Yeah,
it
you're
looks
all-
like
you're-
it looks like a DeLorean is a person.
Yeah, you're already breaking reality with RoboCop. It's like saying, how can we make Superman more realistic? It's like you're already doing Superman, throw realism out the window, all right? It's not going to work if you try to make it realistic. I don't think the movie sucked. I just don't think it was memorable. I thought the movie was just forgettable. You saw it.
I thought it was fun.
I don't know what movie we're talking
The
about.
I don't.
remake of RoboCop.
I didn't think it was great, but
Did
I
I
enjoyed
see
it
it?
for what it was.
Yes.
No.
Michael
don't even
Keaton,
remember seeing
Michael
it.
Keaton was the bad guy.
I have no memory of this place.
I
Vinkman,
remember everything.
I remember how it started. Vinkman says Melinda does good impressions of the woman from MST3K Werewolf. Paul, is you being a werewolf in here?
That is such a good
People say rack to me a lot.
Allah. It's almost like the guy from The Room.
She does have the same exact accent. She's from. I looked her up.
Is
Like
this
Michael
like?
was
Does this
like
answer the question of where is that guy from The Room from?
the other night. Yes, the other night I like went down a weird rabbit hole because I started looking up the lady who was in that movie, and I found her Facebook page.
Like her actual Facebook?
The actress's actual Facebook page.
Did you say hi?
No.
Should
I didn't
know?
say anything to her. I didn't add
Did
her
you
as a
at
friend.
least
I
like
didn't,
something
nope,
on her
I
page?
didn't.
Like,
Nope.
like
I just
that?
showed it to Michael. He was like, dude, why are you internet stalking her? I was like, I was just trying to figure out where she's
That
from.
was the point where I thought that. I was like, don't do that.
Zygma, who said Highlander should also have stopped after 1? He's wrong. I said Highlander should have stopped after 1. Who said it should have stopped after more than 1?
Somebody else up above.
Probably
Okay.
someone in chat. It might
Other
have
people
been
are debating all
another.
kinds of things.
Okay.
It might have been another person altogether.
Okay, well, I can't tell, so...
I can't either.
Monkey Boy's like, did I see it? Yeah, I don't remember that at all. Matt Ludi says, Melinda,
Michael
I
says
still...
it's forgettable. She forgot she saw it. I feel like I would lose this debate. I thought it was unforgettable.
Matt says, I still want to know if you can get me the number of the meth girl who turned up at your party. Ever since you told the story, I've been imagining all sorts.
Weird flex there, bud.
I have no idea where that chick is.
We're
Would
not
not
yellow
invite her
pages.
over.
Not the yellow pages, folks.
Dial a meth.
I mean, I think it'd be fun if we learned, did some improv and just kind of manned a phone.
I mean, I could reenact what it was like being around her.
Nah, we good.
Oh my God, look at... Oh my God, is that yours? How did you even get that, man?
Get this
That
thing
is
in
so
your
crazy.
house
Oh
on
my
your shelf,
God, look at
yours?
this can. Have you ever seen anything so shiny in your life? Oh my God, look at all the things that are happening on the computer. How does that work? Oh my God, look at this thing over here. Oh my God, your skin is so soft. It's pretty much like that. Scott says, one problem about remaking
Pretty neat.
RoboCop...
Yeah, I thought it was all right.
I'll buy that for $1. With remaking RoboCop is that we love the original for its prescience. You can't be prescient about stuff that's already happened. Well, unless you do something where you imagine the future, but nobody wants to imagine the future from here. And that's why a lot of these types of science fiction things don't work, because you're only going to go really dark.
There's a lot of clamor right now for more optimistic entertainment.
Yeah, well, therefore you'd have to just make up an alternate reality.
I disagree. I think that
You
we
think
need...
it's all going to be sunshine and roses?
Nope,
You're
I
just
think we
living in
need-
your Pollyanna world.
I think that we need to see what the future is probably going to hold,
So you want us to watch Next Gen?
and just
and
think
live
about
it.
what we can do to prevent that.
Don't dream it,
We need-
be it. That's what we learned from Rocky Horror at the end. Don't dream it, be it. Be the world that you want.
It's impressive. That's deep, man. Cool.
Okay, Vinkman says, I
Yeah.
think Jurassic Park and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids should both have stopped after the first movie.
Yeah, agreed. There's nothing good after
We
the first
said
movie.
Jurassic Park as a one and done.
Jurassic
yeah,
Park
for
is
sure.
one and done.
I had to pull that folder open in my brain, but yes,
Yeah.
you are correct. The rolling gas logo down the street was when I decided. It was very hard for me not to leave the theater.
Yeah.
Watching that roll down.
Well,
the street.
sure, and that's another good point you bring up. If you have to open your mental folder to assess if there were other worthy things after the original, that means pretty much
There was a
one and done.
fragment of a second there where I didn't believe there were more Jurassic Park movies until the more
Right.
recent ones that just got in our
yeah,
face.
which are also not worthy.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Keith says, Next Gen would have been brilliant with one change, no Whoopi Goldberg. I strenuously
super
disagree
disagree.
with that.
She was great.
She was my favorite.
That is a character that still haunts me.
I feel like
Wondering
they
more about
should
what
have.
happened to her.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen more of her character and learned more about her backstory and had just whole episodes of her. But she was sort of a mystery. She's
what
like the Boba Fett of that whole
She
series.
kind of is.
Yeah.
The baby Yoda without the baby Yoda-ness.
Yeah, she doesn't have the kitschy cuteness of any of that, but she's just, I love her depth and ability to see through the BS.
I would go to her bar and I would not drink. I would just go there to eat pretzels and hear her talk.
Jason is mirroring what Red Letter Media said, which is Whoopi was Counselor Troy, except she actually helped people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's example after example.
That's true.
Of just sort of a
She's
counselor
so
just
empathetic.
reading the
and
script.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Patient Mental says, how did you end up working for WEP Voltron?
I was they did a fan research study. They polled a number of fans, I think it was either 50 or 100 fans, to do this series of things in social media where it was do a short video that's 30 seconds long talking about Voltron, write down your thoughts on this. And it was like it took like 2 weeks, and it was like different exercises like every other day or something. And after that was over, the last
Did they
thing was-
reveal what the end result of this was?
it was just them trying to get a read on what people valued about the brand and all that kind of stuff.
So they weren't actively trying to hire someone for this
no,
role at all.
No, they were just
You
looking
just knocked
into
their
it.
socks off.
And I did this video clip, like we all had to do video clips, and I did a video clip. And from the video clip, they were so, I guess, pleased or blown away or whatever with the way I constructed this video, that they invited us to come up to their offices in St. Louis to do an interview day, because they learned through that video that I had a YouTube channel. And so we did that interview, which is still on the channel. You can watch that. It's several years old now, but you can still watch it. And then about a year later, I guess it was, maybe a year or two, something like that. It's hard to remember.
The guy that you interviewed stepped down as that role and suggested you.
Yeah,
as,
he
'cause
recommended
you were
me.
super knowledgeable about
Yeah,
Voltron.
he recommended me to do the work remotely for the social media administrator stuff. And so that's how it happened.
Eddie Coulter says, thoughts on the short-lived Robocop TV series and the Canadian miniseries. Wow, I would love to see a Canadian version of Robocop. Like a polite Robocop with a Canadian accent? That's like
Well,
amazing.
Eddie, as I said earlier, this action figure here is from the RoboCop TV series. If you want to watch a great video about the making of and a review of the RoboCop TV show, I cannot recommend enough the Oliver Harper YouTube channel, which has done an amazing retrospective on the RoboCop TV show.
Sorry.
What's going on?
It's Robocop, eh? Dead or
I
alive.
was
You
just waiting
hosers
for
are
it to
coming
go.
with me. Oh, man. Okay, so Fat Rob says, Michael, sorry to sound so nerdy, but is that a childhood Robo 1 there?
No, I did not have any RoboCop toys growing up.
I say that is super clean for a childhood one.
Yeah, again, I only collected RoboCop stuff. I remembered it from when I was a kid, saw the commercials, saw them in stores, but I never got into them simply because, again, if I was going to select that, I wouldn't have been able to get another G.I. Joe for my G.I. Joe collection. And you only had so many toy buys a year. So what I ended up doing was getting a few as an adult. I don't have anywhere near the whole line, but I did get this Robo 1 several years back because it showed up on eBay and it was in great shape with the box.
It is
and
in great
everything.
shape.
Yeah. So
Stay
Speaking
out
of boxes.
trouble.
I think we may have some boxes to open.
we do have boxes to open. So
We do, but I have one more question to
Okay.
ask you. And please tell me if I get this right, the pronunciation of your name. Zdravko says, what do you dislike most about Robocop 3? I'm in the minority that considers it the superior sequel.
wow. First of all, that's
You should
very
see the
brave.
look on Cameron Tim's face.
It's very brave of you to say that. I always respect,
Courageous conversations.
I always respect somebody that, you know.
So anyway, he was wondering what you liked the least. So I'm sure that there's a list, but if you had to pick
If
one
you had to
thing
pick
that
a
you didn't
thing
like,
that you didn't like.
I just think that
and it can't be that it was made.
No. I just think that the plot fell apart very quickly. I think that they strayed too far. They
So
turned
specifically,
Detroit.
what in the plot? What was the first moment where you went, "Oh, this plot's falling apart"?
Well, his enemy is like a ninja, like a
Okay.
martial arts guy. Like what? And then
Fist fighting a robot doesn't sound very
yeah,
effective.
Detroit falls
Where
apart
are the
into this.
boxes?
Right
They're right
there.
here.
Detroit falls apart into a war zone. I mean, and RoboCop flying on a jetpack, like all of it was just very ill-conceived.
Well, and how easily RoboCop was defeated. Like, he got kicked and knocked down, and suddenly he couldn't.
Right.
Like a turtle, you know, just
Yeah, it just the whole movie was dead on arrival from a conceptual level.
George says, whoa, that's a brave opinion.
well, and you know what means a
Zdravko
lot.
says, yes, pretty close on the pronunciation.
And you know it means a lot that he shared it here. So thanks.
I mean, but again, we're all about brave opinions here at RetroBlasting. Tim likes Attack of the Clones the best out of all the Star Wars
I hate
movies.
the Princess Bride.
I like Age of Ultron the best out of all the Avengers films. I mean, so there's nothing wrong with you liking RoboCop 3 the best. It's just a matter of knowing that, like with Age of Ultron or Attack of the Clones, you will be in the minority.
I
and you need to be ready.
unironically enjoy Weezer songs.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
You just gotta, sometimes you gotta speak your shame.
You just gotta be you. I'm not ashamed of that at all. If you
That's your
want
choice.
to
So-
destroy my sweater.
Please don't tell me, Michael, you are the reason my 80-minute Voltron violence restored movie that got... no, Map, that wasn't me. I didn't handle the YouTube stuff. I was only responsible for the Facebook page. I didn't do anything regarding Voltron's
He did
YouTube.
social media posts.
Yeah.
He didn't do administration.
I did Facebook and Twitter. I had nothing to do with the YouTube channel.
That guy was like, please don't tell me your why.
All right, I guess we're gonna do the boxes now.
You got a box?
Matt says, you wish you hated Princess Bride, Melinda. No, I'm
No,
pretty
she
sure
actually
I don't
does
like
not
it.
like the Princess Bride. Up or Murphy.
Matt says, how about a retroblasting barbershop quartet? I think that would be great, but...
We won't do that.
Stiff Kitten says, why doesn't Michael have a Kylie t-shirt? He does.
He do have
He has
one.
a new Kylie t-shirt on.
I do have a Kylie t-shirt on.
She's got something stuck in her tooth, though.
Yeah, she's
It
got
was
that.
an awkward moment for that picture.
Oh, spinach, right?
Yeah, just right. Maybe give her some floss.
I buy new Kylie t-shirts just for you guys here on the channel.
He says
Yeah, that's
directly
funny.
towards us.
It's like he buys... It's like he buys new toys just so he can review them on the channel. I'm onto that as well. Oh my god.
Tink. Tink.
Someone says, my favorite Friday the 13th is 7, New Blood. Wow. More brave confessions.
This
At
is
least
like
it wasn't
starting
the
a thing.
13th one. Like,
Wow, can you imagine the pressure of making a Friday the 13th 13?
well, they did.
Can you imagine the pressure?
No.
Like, this is the 13th.
Do you remember
Friday
it?
the 13th.
Vinkman says, how about doing a Transformers live stream? That ought to get lots of hate.
I know we've talked about
There's a
some
really
Transformers.
angry fan base to tap into. Tim would definitely need to be on that one. Maybe instead of me, because he knows way more about it.
Oh, I think both you and I will be hiding in the backyard.
Yeah.
We
for
can
that
do a
one.
Transformers live stream.
We could just,
cer-
like, throw stuff at them from behind the camera.
Yeah.
See if we can knock over the Transformers and break them.
This
Okay,
comes from
I'll go buy
John.
some Nerf guns.
Matt says, I'm loving Aaron's shirt.
Deathly Hallows.
Nathan Blaine said, I thought that was an Ellen shirt at first.
Ellen? Yeah, Michael likes to celebrate the comic stylings of Ellen DeGeneres.
He loves how she acts nice, but is known for being so filled with hate. Like, there's something that he
Allegedly
loves.
filled with hate.
Nah, she's definitely
Yeah,
filled with hate.
that was funny.
First, I wear a shirt
out.
where people are like, Kylie has a beard and she looks like Chasing Amy, and now I'm wearing a shirt and they're like, it's Ellen DeGeneres. And you know what? I just wanna ask, like, do a lot of you guys need contacts or glasses or something? Like, ask yourself,
Well,
why would
does
I?
she need those glasses?
Well, she just looks good in them. But it's like, why would I ever wear a shirt with Ellen DeGeneres on?
Well, no, that's why they're asking you.
And why
are you
would I
wearing
wear a
that?
Chasing Amy shirt?
Because
when-
it was a good movie.
Was it a good movie?
Matt says, I
No.
should be so Ellen, Ellen.
It's got your
Filmmaker says,
Batfleck in
Michael,
it.
you should just wear an Ellen shirt during a live stream to mess with everyone.
And then claim that it's
And
not.
then Matt Film Production says, oh yeah, she does look like Ellen.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
See,
Holy-
he's so excited that didn't even faze him.
Holy crap.
Keith says, Melinda has ex-boyfriends, but Michael just has Kylie.
Wow.
And there's nothing wrong with
No,
that.
Michael has ex-boyfriends too.
Oh
Don't-
my gosh.
It was too good. He has plenty of ex-girlfriends, believe me.
Oh my goodness.
This
The bridge playset.
appears to be a fan-made Battlestar Galactica bridge playset,
Fans
That's
do
cool.
what?
which I cannot wait to look at. It even comes with its own custom box.
That is cool.
Fans do what?
The best,
Best
work.
Would you like me to hold that the whole
no, that's
time
fine.
we
I'll just
finish
set it right there.
speaking, or-
Monkey
Do you
Boy
want me to
says,
turn it up
Tim.
right for you, Tim?
Monkey Boy says, Tim, can you show us the Ed 209 up close when you remove it from the table, please?
I will.
See, people are correctly infatuated with that robot.
I
design.
was told you need to read the letter that comes with this before you do the thing.
Is the letter
There's a letter
located
inside.
in
It's
this?
in-
no, nope,
No, in
it's
this one.
in this
Oh,
box.
it's in
In the
this.
well-dressed box. I like the
Okay.
60s style.
Okay.
Where is that in the line?
I like this like retro 60s pattern on this box.
Yeah, it's nice.
Oh, and
Wow.
look at the folding style.
Look
This
at
is
this.
this is a fancy box.
Well, it's foreign, so it's.
Careful with the display of the.
Where is it from?
It's from Netherlands.
Is it Jody?
No, it's not Jody.
No, it's Paul Verhoeven.
It says, "Dear RetroBlasting,
Cool.
I'm a big fan of the channel and have been so since many years. The live streams are a great addition to the channel, which I enjoy very much. Thank you. As many other spectators, I really want to help the channel out where I can. However, as I hate super chats with a passion, or any other way of financing a channel for that matter. Yeah, you see, that's the part that you could just leave that out. I thought it best to help you out by sending over some chewed up toys I had laying around in the attic for many years. Let's read that again.
No. I mean,
However, as I hate super chats with a passion or any other way of financing a channel for that matter, I thought it best to help you out by sending over some chewed up toys.
Maybe that's.
I'm
maybe
really
we should
look-
see. We should see what's in there.
I'm really
before
looking forward to Michael's first reaction of excitement for what is in the box, followed by the great despair when he realizes he now will need to get the rest of the series as well. For the rest of the team, I added some soon-to-be extinct chocolate bars from Holland, reputedly named after a quote from General Anthony McAuliffe when the Germans offered a surrender ultimatum at the Battle of the Bulge. With kind regards, Harold Russian, Agent on Clogs. In the uneventful situation that you already have these figures at the time of unboxing, could you please send them through to Tony from Analog Toys? I'm sure he'll appreciate them.
Hey, Michael.
Yeah. Oh, whoops. Sorry.
Here to help.
He said to read it.
Yeah, but he didn't say to read that part, apparently. It's very confusing.
Oh.
I found your nuts.
Oh, thank you.
People were
Michael.
yelling nuts.
I didn't know you were looking
Because-
for them.
Because that's what he
no.
said in response was nuts.
So we can see what that is.
I got that, by the way. Did you already know that?
Harold, you really know how to totally smokescreen somebody with a letter and then put in a box something completely amazing that I don't even know if I'm really staring at this or not. Are
Nope.
you kidding me? Like you've literally this is the biggest like
Maybe the translation was.
oh my
I
god.
think he was messing with him.
He was
Oh my god.
gonna close the blade on this.
Oh
here thing.
my god.
Do you
Oh
want-
my god.
Michael's having a fit.
No, you don't understand. You don't understand. This is incredible.
Wilson says, "What's in the box?"
You have
Just give it a second.
these are Galaxy Rangers.
Oh man. Oh.
These are
man.
Galaxy Rangers. Oh my god. There's a hat in here. There's a hat in here.
Don't miss the hat.
Oh my god. These were only sold in Europe. Chewed up toy. That's a chewed up toy?
He was messing with you, dear.
I can tell he was messing with me, and he did it very well. He did it expertly well.
Chat, how many times did Michael say, "Oh my god"?
Yeah, I don't know.
Thank goodness we weren't drinking to that.
Holy crap.
Yeah, holy crap is right.
Yeah, we've looked at these toys a lot of times, and they are
They're-
very pricey and rare. Like, it's even hard to find them.
Oh my god.
You're gonna want to go through this box one packing peanut at a time, I think.
It's kind of amazing that he's got the gun, too.
He's got the guns for this, too.
And the hat. Oh, there's 2 more hats, which is. Ooh, is there another dude in there?
Oh my
Because
god.
there's another gun and another hat.
There's another dude. There's another dude. Holy crap. Are you kidding me?
sounds mad, doesn't he?
No, I'm not mad. I'm just blown away. I'm blown away by the condition of these. I'm blown away by the generosity. I'm blown away by the surprise. I'm blown away by Harold's expert ability to write a letter that just completely throws me off.
Isn't that a lost art?
It is a lost art.
That's pretty good.
We're
Xantara says, "A shame the female character was never released."
I know, and if I
Yeah,
had
that's
known,
true. That's a bummer. She was a cool character.
I remember it being on eBay, and at the time I didn't try to bid on it, the prototype, because I thought I would never have the rest.
Oh.
And it didn't go for very much.
Oh man,
That sucked.
What?
what
Your
you
story.
just said.
You're very good at telling stories.
And mint in package He-Man Lizor from the New Adventures of He-Man. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Wow, man.
And I'm getting the second volume of this DVD set today, allegedly, which is an interesting coincidence. So I'm hoping to start looking into that series as well. Harold, I don't know what to say, man. I literally don't know what to say.
Yeah, I don't know what to say either. I don't know how much these go for now, but I know like 5 to 7 years ago when we looked for them,
they're
were
very rare. They're
really rare.
Yeah.
Hard to even find any to even bid on, even if you were willing to pay the mint that they cost. So I'd love to hear the backstory of these. Were these yours, like from when you were a kid, or I assume they must have been?
I just don't even.
Were
Yeah,
they
for
more
they to be
common
indie,
over
if
in
that's true
Europe,
about the
like
ad.
in the Netherlands? Like, were they more prominent, like easier to find, or?
Didn't say what, France
Like-
or England, or because I
Yeah,
thought these were
well-
only Europe, only released there.
Yeah, they were only released.
Well, yeah,
in
that's what
Europe.
I'm just saying. Like, maybe it was like super common where he was, but not other places. I don't know, because like even on international eBay and stuff, I haven't seen a lot of them. So
Yeah.
I'm just wondering. Anyway,
Just
Wilson says, "How much did he pay for it?" I'm assuming these were his from childhood, so probably whatever they went for back then.
I don't even know at this point. Like, I don't even know. I have no words at this point.
People are so excited to see you, Tim.
Oh,
They're yelling out, "Oh my God, it's Tim!"
after show.
Yeah, he will be on the after show. Juan says, "That just made 2020 better, honestly." Yeah, Jerry says it's from the Netherlands for sure, since the box says blocker.
Well, I didn't mean to read the last part. That was an honest mistake on my part. I
We're
didn't
keeping
mean,
them,
I didn't mean.
so
to,
it doesn't matter.
Well, the thing is that I wasn't trying to like ride right past his instructions. I literally didn't see it. So sorry about that.
He was kind of like stressed out because of the first part in the letter, I think. you totally mind melted him.
all right. Would you like me to open that box for you?
George Wayne, what? They're not gonna read it out loud. They're not gonna read what out loud? Okay, sorry.
Don't look at the chat.
I'm sorry. This is just unbelievable.
Would you like me to open the box?
I'm sorry. I just need a moment.
You take all the time you need, big guy.
George says, "I've never seen Michael that stunned. Did you nudge him with a taser?"
Baseball, baseball, baseball.
What about baseball?
It's not working.
Oh, he's right, because now.
You gotta get the.
You gotta get the horse.
This is the second part you said you couldn't wait for. It was just the despair that would happen.
Because now I'm like, okay, there's one more holster and a gun for him because he was the dual shooter, because there's a place on his leg for the other holster, and then there's the bad guys, and then there's the horses. Yes, they had horses for all of them, ponies.
Oh, does she like horses?
She likes horses.
Oh, okay. That's
Really?
interesting.
No one, people don't know that. Michael, can I have a pony?
Like a real one?
Yes, dear, you can have a real pony.
You can probably have one of those easier than finding the ponies for these guys.
Yeah.
Matt Film Productions told me to ask for any favor I wanted right now from Michael because he can't say no. So I just thought I'd.
I'm
You were right.
I'm
Good job.
literally just like, a few years ago, there was they did a role play pistol for kids. The guns there, they had a big one, like an electronic one.
It's love
And-
the idea of a role play pistol
Yeah,
for children.
Yeah, and they like a Han Solo blaster, but it was
Yeah.
one of these. And I had it on my watch list for a while from France, but it was like hundreds of dollars, and I was like, there's no point.
Those are
And
cool
then-
looking pistols.
I've still got the photos from all of those auctions, including the prototype Nico. I've got the DVD sets. All right, this is from our friend Keith Holmesley.
It is a
Whoa.
pile of things.
Holy, okay. We have the Black Series Rebel Soldier,
Oh,
complete
that's cool.
with dual faces. I hear he's one of the best Black Series figures they've ever made. We have the Jada Back to the Future Trilogy DeLorean Time Machine miniature set.
That's cool.
I feel the heft of that.
There you go. Swedish Fish.
Love Swedish Fish.
Oh,
Didn't he? Oh, there's
this is
nuts.
for you,
Can I see that?
Melinda. There's a note to you.
Oh. Melinda, the boys have retro and reissue, so I thought you should have one too. Here is a retro style pony for your collection. Oh, this is one of the retro ones that I don't have. Cool. I do have some of these, but not this one. And you know, the thing I love about these reissues is that even though the boxing and the packaging is different than they had been back in the day, the back is styled the same way with the other ponies that are in that set, with all their names and everything, so you can tell when you've collected the whole group that this particular one is in. And it also comes with the puffy sticker, which is so 80s. Thank you.
I forgot
It's
about
very
puffy
cute.
stickers.
Man, I love some puffy stickers.
Scratches.
Man, more Swedish Fish.
Keith loaded Melinda up on Swedish Fish.
I love Swedish Fish.
All right.
And I love Sweden. That's why I
Okay.
want to go there.
Keith, you did not do this, man. Did you really do this?
It's a Galaxy Ranger pony!
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
That would be insane.
Keith, I guess, decided he wanted to get my thoughts on the reissues of the Kenner Ghostbuster figures that are exclusive to Walmart. And it looks like he picked up...
Hey. This guy's all right. He is listed here as the Green Ghost.
Yeah, he was listed that way oddly in
He
the
didn't
80s.
have his Baby Yoda name yet.
I'm not sure. You got Stay Puft?
Oh my god, that thing is nightmare fuel.
You want to here?
He's got all four
I don't like
Ghostbusters
that.
in here.
You don't like a
I don't-
marshmallow
Look at this.
man?
Oh.
Look at this. Egon,
Hey, my buddy Ego.
Winston, and Venkman,
Winston.
Winston.
and Ray.
That's how I call
Dude,
my cat.
Keith, you are too kind, man. I will do a
I'll
video
hold up the
about
extras.
these so that you'll get my thoughts. I'll do a video. So, holy cow.
How about this, Michael, for your thing we were just talking about?
I'll get you next time, Gadget.
Ah, yes. Gadget, Inspector Gadget. I'm starting to do research for that eventual video.
So, they remade these with the weird streams.
Oh,
Yeah, the
the
ones
break?
that you crank.
he gave me a Baby Yoda as well.
It doesn't make that noise, does it?
I don't think so.
And Swedish Fish, which make great packing
this
material.
is the nice thing about this is the assorted flavors,
Mm-hmm.
and so now you've got assorted and just the red. Which red is the
And
best
then
flavor?
the movie theater bulks of Swedish Fish.
Nice.
Interesting fact.
I don't even know.
These aren't actually fish.
Aaron Wilson says that was a really good Dr. Claw impression.
Thank you. I've been doing it since I was a child.
What if I open this pony?
Well, open it.
Look, it's really pretty. Its little mark on its butt is really sparkly.
Its mark on its butt is
It's-
really sparkly.
Next, at 7, the reissue My Little Pony. Is the mark on its butt really sparkly? Find out
Tune in
more.
to find out.
I
This
don't
and
even.
more.
between a complete
This and Andy Rooney.
okay,
After
look,
the break, we're going to eat
Nuts.
D's nuts.
D's
Dreamland. So
Are they chocolate and salty?
a custom Battlestar Galactica playset. All 3 original Galaxy Rangers.
Which one of them just fell over? That's what that noise was.
He's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah, he's on a table.
Maybe you should get his head above his feet. Maybe that's the other way around. Other way around. Yeah.
All 3 Galaxy
Get
Rangers.
the blood into his core.
They're the Galaxy Rangers, here we stand. No guts, no glory.
Man, he is rugged.
That's
I
really
just-
bad, I know, but I haven't heard the song in a long time.
Somebody said Ghost said Ed 209 took out one of the Rangers. That's right. We promised.
Good, Ed. He did something
We promised
right.
to
Tim
put
did
Ed
it.
209
Tim
into the
did that.
camera.
Tim did that.
Oh,
Tim
he did
did.
that. Okay.
You were a little sidetracked.
Sorry. The entire run of reissue Retro Ghostbusters, a Battlestar Galactica fan-made playset, and the 3 original Galaxy Rangers. I just don't know if there are words to describe that at this point.
Should have sent.
That's
a
exactly
poet.
how he feels as well.
Jerry Orbach has decided he does not have the stamina anymore to stand up. Okay.
Just like, bro. Can I get one of them Swedish fish?
Okay.
All right. Well, anything else you'd
And
like
on
to
that
say?
horrifying conclusion, we will have to say goodbye.
I'm going to have to go think about all this and figure out what the content
Oh, did I miss a super chat? Vinkman says, did Melinda see my super chat? Hang on.
Oh no.
Oh, yes, sorry. I actually
It's
see 2 super chats. One was A World Made of Cardboard. You were talking, so I didn't want to interrupt you. He told me to ask for a PS5 while you were in. Can I have a PS5?
I
please?
understand
Yes,
there's a
you can
Cat
always-
Noir game you need to
Yes.
pick
And
up.
Vinkman says, while Michael is having a toygasm over those Galaxy Rangers toys, Tim is secretly cursing because this means Bionic 6 is getting delayed yet again.
Are you kidding? Michael's been working hard on Bionic 6.
Thank you. I have. And also, I didn't even realize these Galaxy Ranger toys were that tall. I'd had no idea they were that big.
Nor did I realize how big their thigh muscles are. Jesus.
Hey, calm down.
I'm
Nice deflection from the Bionic 6.
Bionic
ghosting.
6.
What you got there, bud?
Tim wants to know if he can have a PS5 too.
Sure. Harold, Keith.
Hey, wait, can I
Jo-
have one?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Harold, Keith, John, thank you so much. I really don't know what to say at this
Harold,
point.
you really got one over on him, like in a big
You
way.
totally.
Like it was like,
You don't realize how close this guy right here was to just blistering you
yeah,
over the first half
he
of that
was.
letter.
He was.
And then
He was already mad.
in the next moment, it was like mud.
I wasn't mad. I was
He
just
was
like,
mad.
mud
Don't-
No, I
rolling
wasn't.
down
I
the
wasn't
face.
mad.
irritated.
I was just sitting there going, okay, is this because we've said one day there will be somebody who's decided that they're gonna package, something up like Dog Dookie or something, So that's not giving you guys ideas. Don't do it.
Jason's like, you get
Wow,
a
don't-
PS5 and you get a
Don't-
PS5.
I thought that
and you
too. You know, that's a wonderful joke. Thank you.
But I was just like, is this, because there's some good-natured jokesters out there like
There
Jason
are.
Anderson and stuff.
But
and
that's
so,
nobody's
Jason
going to do
Anderson.
and so I was kind of like,
Why do
oh, I
you
was like,
persist?
but yeah, like he got one over
'Cause he
on
funny.
me. Harold wins the
Universe,
the good-natured prank of 2020. Like
like a
That
proper
was good.
prank.
like set you up for the fall and then totally pick you back up at the end. Like
That in itself is a lost art.
yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to take a short break,
Yes.
like just a short 10-minute break, 10, 15. How long you want to take?
Yeah, 10 or 15, and then we're gonna be
And then
on.
we're going to
We're not going to
restart.
set a time frame on that quite yet.
Right, we're gonna.
break.
It's going to be a few minutes, but we will be starting the after
It'll be
shows
shorter than it
shortly.
took to get
Yeah.
new Star Wars movies.
For those of you that don't know, there is a Patreon after show over at the RetroBlasting Patreon for our patrons, and we do that 10 to 15 minutes after the live stream ends, and we just kind of talk about whatever.
That's you and Tim start that out,
Right.
and others join as can.
Yeah. So
Tim Ward says we got about 450 viewers.
60.
Well, 448 is what it says
Oh,
right
okay.
here. So he's wanting to see the thumbs up. So I don't normally like to yell those out, but if you want to give us a thumbs up on this live stream, we would appreciate that.
I heard a little bit every time I
and-
say like and subscribe.
I know, like
like,
and subscribe, but you know, it's kind of cool. And then, yeah. So
He looks perplexed.
as does Michael. So, thank you guys so much for joining us on our Saturday live stream and watching Michael get completely blown away, which is appropriate for RoboCop Day. And yeah,
All
so
right.
we will see you next week where we will be talking about Transformers.
Is that
Jim Dempsey
wait,
wants to
this-
see the bridge set real quick before we go. So let's
Michael.
let Jim see the bridge set.
Welcome back, Michael. That
Welcome back.
that one fell over on
It's
my leg.
fine. It's fine.
I'm dead now.
You're fine. You're good. Okay.
Welcome back.
Mr. Cartier.
What is this?
It's a pile of puke?
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm not sure what that one is supposed to be. I mean, I know the pizza.
So,
Michael,
all right.
what is this little?
I guess we're done, Tim.
I think it's a steak.
Oh no. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see all of you patrons on the after show in about 15 minutes. So we'll post that link here in a second over on Patreon. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
We're saying goodbye more than a Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, we'll talk to you guys soon. We'll see you on the next Saturday live stream. I've got Robotech Part 4
See you at the Grey Havens.
coming up. So
Coming
Robotech
up
Part
next.
4. Robotech Part 4 coming up this week. So see you soon.